Africa, a land of stunning beauty and unparalleled danger. Here, in the heart of the wild, lurk creatures so deadly they can end a life in minutes. Welcome to our journey through the 15 most terrifying and painful snake bites in Africa. But beware, this isn't just about snakes. It's about survival, pain, and the untamed wilderness. Hold on tight, because what you're about to see isn't for the faint of heart. But then again, would you want it any other way?
No one really speaks up for them.
Okay, so the people raising their arms have been bitten by snake.
Now you can help us, because most of these people don't have legs. They don't have arms. Others are injured. They can't do anything for themselves. I want to say that the people need to come from overseas to come and help us, because the problem is real.
Can you imagine the distress of running from your home, perhaps in the night, with a child on your back, suffering from snake bites, screaming in pain?
People are traveling more than 20 kilometers on foot to access an health facility from wherever they are.
A teenager bitten by a black mamba. The fast-acting venom gives you little time and even less hope.
They knew that he wouldn't be able to get to hospital in time, and so they laid him out with a bottle. There was a bottle of water there for him to drink. And he died there, and he was left for the hyenas.
Imagine you're Karl Schmidt, a herpetologist, someone who has dedicated his life to understanding snakes. Now imagine being bitten by one of the very creatures you study. The Boomslang, a beautiful name, isn't it? Sounds harmless, maybe even poetic. But for Karl Schmidt, it was a name etched into his journal with each agonizing hour after the bite. Symptoms began to worsen, nausea, hemorrhaging, he wrote, his penmanship growing weaker as the venom took hold. Ah, the Boomslang, who knew something so beautiful could be so deadly. This little green snake with its oversized eyes might look like a toy, but don't be fooled. This is nature's ticking time bomb.
She was bitten on her head by a red-spitting cobra just outside her home.
It was around 9 at night. Carol ran to the door to meet her grandmother. Then she ran straight back in and started vomiting. We didn't realize she had been bitten by a snake.
Imagine a young child, innocent and carefree, playing in the field. And then a sharp pain, confusion, and terror. And the most chilling part? The snake was never seen, just a flash of scales and then nothing. That's how the carpet viper works, in silence, in the shadows, until it's too late. And who could forget the puff adder? This snake doesn't hide. Oh no, it lies in plain sight, daring you to step too close. Slow, sluggish, but strike like a bullet. Our Maasai friend thought he was safe, just another day in the wild. But as he walked through the tall grass, he felt a sharp pain in his leg. Looking down, he saw the puff adder's fangs embedded deep in his skin. The pain was immediate, intense, unbearable. Hours later, his leg had ballooned to twice its size, the venom working its way through his body. He survived, but the encounter left him with a permanent limp, a daily reminder that in Africa, you're never really safe. And now, the snake that haunts the nightmares of many. A snake so feared, its very name sends shivers down the spine. The black mamba. Two sisters, probably after walking home from school, playing in the bedroom alone, a flash of black, a scream, and then silence. The black mamba had struck twice, or was it the African forest cobra? It was hard to identify the snake that had bitten them both. One sister fell, never to rise again. The other, well, she survived, but at what cost? She lost more than her sister that day. She lost her future. The venom left her with permanent nerve damage. Her body a constant reminder of the day she danced with death and won, barely. Even the late Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General, recognized the crisis of snake bites in Africa.
A few years ago, during one of our frequent visits to Ghana, a local doctor drew my wife, nuns, and my attention to the devastating impact that snake bites were having on the community.
But how do you fight an enemy that strikes without warning, without mercy? The answer isn't simple, but it's a battle that must be fought. 15 snakes, 15 stories of terror, pain, and survival. But these are just a few of the countless encounters happening every day across Africa. The question is, are you prepared for when the fangs of fear come for you? Don't be scared, folks, because knowledge is the best weapon. 1. Dendroaspis polylepis, the black mamba, is a highly venomous snake species that belongs to the Elapidae family and is native to parts of sub-Saharan Africa. First described by Albert Gunther in 1864, it is the second longest venomous snake after the king cobra, with mature individuals generally exceeding 2 meters or 6 feet 7 inches in length and commonly reaching up to 3 meters or 9.8 feet. Some specimens have been reported to grow as long as 4.3 to 4.5 meters or 14 to 15 feet. The skin color of the black mamba ranges from gray to dark brown, and juveniles are typically paler than adults, darkening as they age. Contrary to its name, the black mamba's skin is not black. Instead, the name refers to the black color inside its mouth, which it displays when threatened. This species is both terrestrial and arboreal, inhabiting savannas, woodlands, rocky slopes, and in some regions, dense forests. The black mamba is diurnal and preys on birds and small mammals, capable of reaching speeds of up to 16 kilometers per hour or 10 miles per hour over short distances on suitable surfaces. Adult black mambas have few natural predators. When threatened, they typically open their black mouths, spread their narrow neck flaps, and may hiss. The snake is capable of striking from a considerable distance and can deliver multiple bites in rapid succession. Its venom is primarily composed of neurotoxins that can induce symptoms within 10 minutes and is often fatal without prompt administration of antivenom. Despite its fearsome reputation, the black mamba only attacks humans if it feels threatened or cornered and is classified as least concern on the IUCN Red List of threatened species. The black mamba was first formally described by German-born British zoologist Albert Gunther in 1864. The holotype, a single specimen collected by naturalist John Kirk during the 1858 to 1864 Second Zambesi expedition led by David Livingstone, is housed at the Natural History Museum in London. The generic name, Dendroaspis, derives from the ancient Greek words dendron, tree, and aspis, asp, while the specific epithet polylepis comes from poly, many, and lepis, scale. The name mamba originates from the Zulu word imamba. In Tanzania, the snake is locally known as ndemolinyeo or grasscutter due to its supposed habit of clipping grass. In 1873, German naturalist Wilhelm Peters described a species named Dendroaspis antinorii from a specimen in the Genoa Museum, collected by Italian explorer Orazio Antinori in what is now northern Eritrea. This was later considered a subspecies and is no longer recognized as distinct. In 1896, Belgian-British zoologist George Albert Bellinger temporarily grouped the black mamba with the eastern green mamba, Dendroaspis angusticeps, a classification that remained until 1946, when South African herpetologist Vivian Fitzsimons separated them into distinct species once again. A genetic analysis conducted in 2016 confirmed that the black mamba and the eastern green mamba are each other's closest relatives, with both being more distantly related to Jameson's mamba, Dendroaspis jamisoni. The black mamba is a front-fanged Proteroglyphus, snake with fangs that can grow up to 6.5 millimeters or 0.26 inches in length, located at the front of its upper jaw. The snake has a long, thin tail, with the tail vertebrae accounting for 17 to 25% of its total body length. The body mass of black mambas varies, with reports indicating weights around 1.6 kilograms or 3.5 pounds, although studies have found an average weight of 1.03 kilograms or 2.3 pounds, with specimens ranging from 520 g or 18 ounces for a snake measuring 1.01 meters or 3 feet 4 inches to 2.4 kilograms or 5.3 pounds for a snake measuring 2.57 meters or 8 feet 5 inches. The coloration of black mambas varies widely, with shades including olive, yellowish-brown, khaki, and gunmetal, though they are rarely truly black. Some individuals exhibit a purplish sheen on their scales and may show dark mottling, particularly toward the rear, sometimes appearing as diagonal crossbands. Their underbellies are typically grayish-white. The common name black mamba refers to the dark bluish-gray to nearly black coloration of the inside of the snake's mouth. The eyes of black mambas can range from grayish-brown to black, with pupils surrounded by a silvery white or yellowish ring. Juvenile black mambas are lighter in color, often gray or olive green, and darken as they mature. Regarding scalation, the black mamba has 23 to 25 rows of dorsal scales at mid-body, 248 to 281 ventral scales, 109 to 132 divided subcaudal scales, and a divided anal scale. The mouth is lined with 7 to 8 supralabial scales above, with the fourth and sometimes the third located under the eye, and 10 to 14 sublabial scales below. Its eyes are protected by 3 or sometimes 4 preocular and 2 to 5 postocular scales. The black mamba is widely distributed across sub-Saharan Africa, inhabiting countries such as Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of the Congo, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Mozambique, Eswatini, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Namibia, and Angola. However, its presence in parts of West Africa is disputed, with unconfirmed reports from the Dakar region of Senegal in the 1950s. The black mamba prefers moderately dry environments like light woodlands, scrublands, rocky outcrops, and semi-arid savannas, but it can also be found in moist savannas and lowland forests. It is usually not found at altitudes above 1,000 meters or 3,300 feet, though it has been recorded at elevations of 1,800 meters or 5,900 feet in Kenya and 1,650 meters or 5,410 feet in Zambia. The species is classified as least concern on the IUCN Red List due to its wide distribution across sub-Saharan Africa and the absence of any documented population decline. The black mamba is both a terrestrial and arboreal snake. On the ground, it moves with its head and neck raised and typically seeks shelter in termite mounds, abandoned burrows, rock crevices, and tree cracks. It is a diurnal species, often seen basking between 7 and 10 a.m. and again from 2 to 4 p.m. in South Africa, frequently returning to the same basking site each day. Known for being skittish and unpredictable, the black mamba is agile and capable of moving quickly. In the wild, it rarely allows humans to approach closer than about 40 meters or 130 feet. When sensing danger, the snake usually retreats in a brush or a hole. If confronted, it often engages in a threat display by exposing its black mouth, flicking its tongue, hissing, and spreading its neck into a hood similar to cobras. Any sudden movement by an intruder during this display may provoke the mamba to strike rapidly, leading to severe envenomation. Due to its size and ability to raise a significant portion of its body off the ground, the black mamba can strike at an upper body level, posing a serious threat to humans. However, its reputation for aggression is often exaggerated. It generally only attacks when it perceives its movement or retreat is being blocked. Similarly, the species' reputed speed is overstated, as it cannot move faster than 20 kilometers per hour or 12 miles per hour. The black mamba's breeding season occurs from September to February, following a temperature drop between April and June. Male mambas compete for females by wrestling, intertwining their bodies, and engaging in neck-to-neck combat, which is sometimes mistaken for courtship. During mating, the male slithers over the female's back, flicking his tongue, and the female signals her readiness by lifting her tail and remaining still. The pair then coil around each other, with mating lasting over 2 hours, during which they remain mostly motionless except for occasional spasms from the male. The black mamba is oviparous, with females laying clutches of 6 to 17 elongated oval eggs, typically 60 to 80 millimeters long and 30 to 36 millimeters in diameter. The young hatch at lengths of 40 to 60 centimeters or 16 to 24 inches and grow rapidly, reaching about 2 meters or 6 feet 7 inches in their first year. Juvenile black mambas are highly nervous and can be as deadly as adults. The species is recorded to live up to 11 years or more. When it comes to feeding, the black mamba generally hunts from a permanent lair to which it will return if undisturbed. Its diet primarily consists of small vertebrates, including birds, especially nestlings and fledglings, and small mammals like rodents, bats, hyraxes, and bush babies. While it prefers warm-blooded prey, the black mamba will also eat other snakes. In South Africa's Transvaal area, recorded prey mostly consists of small rodents and birds, typically weighing between 1.9% and 7.8% of the snake's body mass. Although uncommon, large black mambas may attack bigger prey, such as rock hyraxes, which is why in some tribal languages it is known as the Dassie catcher. After biting its prey, the black mamba usually releases it, waiting for the prey to succumb to paralysis and death before swallowing it. The snake's potent digestive system can fully process its meal within 8 to 10 hours. Adult black mambas have few natural predators, with birds of prey being the most significant threat. Brown snake eagles are known to hunt adult mambas up to 2.7 meters or 8 feet 10 inches long, while tawny eagles and martial eagles have also been observed hunting or consuming them. Young black mambas fall prey to various predators, including the Cape Fowl snake and mongooses, which have some resistance to mamba venom and are often agile enough to avoid a bite. Mongooses may also pursue black mambas in trees. Honey badgers, which share a similar resistance to mamba venom, are also known to prey on them. This resistance is thought to be due to the structure of their muscular nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which do not bind to snake alpha-neurotoxins. Black mambas have also been found in the stomach contents of Nile crocodiles, and young mambas in the Serengeti are known to be preyed upon by southern ground hornbills, marsh owls, and hooded vultures. In 2016, a Kenyan woman named Chepesade Adomo was attacked by 3 black mambas in West Pocket County. One of the snakes bit her multiple times on the leg. Bystanders drove off the other snakes, killing 2 with a machete. After trying traditional medicine, they transported her on a motorcycle to the nearest hospital with anti-venom, a 45-minute ride away, where she survived. In May 2019, Anton Steenkamp, a prominent South African anti-apartheid activist and labor court judge, died after being bitten by a black mamba while on leave in Zambia. He was too far from medical assistance, and he passed away before anti-venom could be administered. In June 2020, Bulgarian veterinarian Georgi Ilinsky from Haskovo was bitten by a black mamba from his personal collection of exotic animals. Although his condition was initially critical, he recovered after extensive treatment that included anti-venom and respiratory support. In January 2022, Peter Dubé, a former newspaper office worker and farmer from Zimbabwe, died after being bitten by a black mamba because the hospital where he was taken did not have anti-venom. In January 2023, a 17-year-old student from Zimbabwe died after being bitten by a black mamba that had entered a high school classroom while the students were outside. In the documentary Minutes to Die, another heartbreaking story is told of a young girl who was bitten not once, but twice by a venomous snake, a tragedy that compounded the suffering for her and her family. This story highlights not only the physical toll of snakebite envenomation, but also the profound financial and emotional impact it can have on families in impoverished regions. The first bite was a devastating blow to the girl and her family. In many rural areas, access to medical care and antivenom is extremely limited, and families often have to make desperate choices to save their loved ones. The girl's parents, determined to get her the treatment she needed, sold all their goats, likely their primary source of income and sustenance, to pay for the medical expenses. Goats are often a crucial asset for rural families, providing milk, meat, and a source of livelihood, so selling them would have been a significant and painful sacrifice. Despite their efforts, the girl's condition after the first bite was likely severe, as the venom can cause long-lasting damage, including paralysis tissue necrosis, and other complications. The family, now impoverished, faced a daunting future with their daughter still recovering from the first envenomation. Tragically, the girl was bitten a second time. The chances of being bitten twice by a venomous snake are rare, but not impossible, especially in areas where such snakes are common and living conditions bring people into frequent contact with them. The second bite would have been an overwhelming blow to a family already struggling to recover from the first incident. The financial burden of the second snake bite was likely insurmountable. With no goats left to sell and no other assets, the family would have been pushed further into poverty. The parents, already having sacrificed so much, were now left with nothing and faced the heartbreaking reality that they might not be able to afford the care their daughter desperately needed. This story underscores the dire situation faced by many families in rural areas affected by snake bites. The lack of accessible and affordable medical care, combined with the high cost of treatment and the need for antivenom, can drive families into extreme poverty. In this case, the family's sacrifice of selling all their goats symbolizes the extreme lengths to which people will go to save their loved ones, and the devastating consequences when even those sacrifices aren't enough. Minutes to Die uses stories like this to emphasize the urgent need for better resources, infrastructure, and support for communities at risk of snakebite envenomation. The documentary calls for a global response to what is often an overlooked public health crisis, highlighting the need for affordable and accessible antivenom, better medical facilities in rural areas, and more awareness and education about the dangers of snake bites.
Oh, it's a big black mamba. Bloody hell. That's a big one under your child's bed.
And he's not thin either.
Shoo.
Oh, wow.
Check at that. That's huge black mamba under your kid's bed.
2. Vitis aeritans, the puff adder, is a highly venomous viper species commonly found across savannas and grasslands from Morocco and western Arabia throughout Africa, except in the Sahara and rainforest regions. It is notorious for causing the highest number of snakebite fatalities in Africa, primarily due to its wide distribution, frequent encounters with humans in densely populated areas, and its aggressive nature. Like all vipers, it possesses potent venom. There are 2 recognized subspecies, including the one discussed here. The species was first described by German naturalist Blasius Meerem in 1820. The species name aeritans is derived from the Latin word arieto, meaning striking violently. The type locality is identified as the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. In terms of physical characteristics, the puff adder has a head that is less triangular with a blunt, rounded snout, but significantly wider than its neck. The rostral scale is small, and the circumorbital ring is composed of 10 to 16 scales. The top of the head features 7 to 11 interocular scales, with 3 or 4 scales separating the suboculars and supralabials. It has 12 to 17 supralabials and 13 to 17 sublabials, with the first 3 or 4 sublabials touching the single pair of chin shields. Typically, each maxilla has 2 fangs, both of which can be functional. At mid-body, the puff adder has 29 to 41 rows of dorsal scales, which are strongly keeled except for the outermost rows. The snake has 123 to 147 ventral scales and 14 to 38 subcaudal scales, with females typically having no more than 24 subcaudals. The anal scale is single. This species is possibly the most common and widespread snake across Africa, found in nearly all regions from the Cape of Good Hope to southern Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal, Mali, and as far north as southern Algeria. Its range extends through West African countries like Guinea, Sierra Leone, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and into Central and East Africa, covering nations like Nigeria, Chad, Sudan, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It is also prevalent in Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Angola, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. Beyond Africa, the species is also found on the Arabian Peninsula, specifically in southwestern Saudi Arabia and Yemen, with reports indicating its presence in the Dhofar region of southern Oman. This snake thrives in a variety of habitats, but avoids true deserts, rainforests, and tropical alpine regions. It is commonly associated with rocky grasslands. It is absent from rainforest areas along the West African coast and in Central Africa, particularly central DR Congo, as well as from the Mediterranean coastal regions of North Africa. On the Arabian Peninsula, its range extends as far north as Taif. Typically a sluggish species, the puff adder relies on its excellent camouflage for protection. It moves primarily in a rectilinear fashion, using its broad ventral scales like a caterpillar, with its body weight providing traction. When provoked, however, it can switch to a more traditional serpentine movement with surprising speed. Although primarily terrestrial, these snakes are adept swimmers and can climb easily, often seen basking in low bushes. In one instance, a puff adder was found 4.6 meters above the ground in a densely branched tree. When threatened, the puff adder hisses loudly and continuously, coiling tightly with the front of its body held in a taut S shape. It may try to back away towards cover, but will strike suddenly and with force, often to the side as well as forward, before quickly returning to its defensive position, ready to strike again. The impact of its strike is so powerful, and its fangs penetrate so deeply, that prey can be killed by the physical trauma alone. Its fangs are reportedly capable of penetrating soft leather. A puff adder can strike to a distance of about 1/3 of its body length, although juveniles can launch their entire bodies forward when striking. Unlike some other snakes, puff adders rarely grip their victims, but instead release them quickly to return to their striking position. Primarily nocturnal, these snakes rarely actively hunt for food. Instead, they prefer to ambush their prey as it passes by. Their diet includes mammals such as rodents, including species like Ethymes, Arvicanthus, Mastomes, Otomes, Ratus, Rhabdomys pumilio, and Saccostomus campestris, and occasionally small deer. They also prey on birds, amphibians like Sismodermicarans, lizards, other snakes, and even tortoises. Female puff adders attract males by releasing pheromones, leading to combat dances where males engage in neck wrestling. In one instance, a female in Malindi was followed by 7 males. These snakes give birth to large litters, with reports of over 80 offspring in some cases, while 50 to 60 offspring per litter is common. Newborns measure between 12.5 to 17.5 centimeters, or 4.9 to 6.9 inches in length. The largest litters are usually produced by very large females, particularly those from East Africa. For example, a female in a Czech zoo gave birth to 156 young, the largest litter recorded for any snake species. Puff adders adapt well to captivity, although there are concerns about their tendency towards gluttony. Caufeld, 1969, observed that they can be sustained for years on just 1 meal per week, but if allowed to eat excessively, the result is often fatal, or at best, they may regurgitate their food. These snakes are known for their bad temper, with some never becoming accustomed to captivity, continuously hissing and puffing whenever approached. This species is responsible for more snakebite fatalities than any other in Africa, due to several factors: its widespread distribution, frequent encounters with humans, large size, potent venom produced in significant quantities, long fangs, and its tendency to bask near footpaths and remain motionless when approached. The venom is highly cytotoxic and ranks among the most toxic of any viper, as indicated by its LD50 values. In mice, these values range from 0.4 to 2.0 mg/kg intravenously, 0.9 to 3.7 mg/kg peritoneally, and 4.4 to 7.7 mg/kg subcutaneously. The typical venom yield is between 150 to 350 milligrams, with a maximum of 750 milligrams. It is estimated that about 100 milligrams of venom can be lethal to a healthy adult male, with death potentially occurring within 25 hours. In humans, bites from this species can cause severe local and systemic symptoms. Bites are generally categorized into 2 symptomatic types: those with minimal or no surface extravasation, and those with visible hemorrhages, such as ecchymosis, bleeding, and swelling. Both types cause intense pain and tenderness, but the latter can lead to widespread necrosis and compartment syndrome. Serious bites may cause limbs to become immovably flexed due to extensive hemorrhage or coagulation in the muscles, although long-term induration is rare and typically resolves completely. Additional symptoms from bites may include extensive edema, shock, oozing of watery blood from the puncture wounds, nausea and vomiting, subcutaneous bruising, rapid formation of blood blisters, and painful swelling of the regional lymph nodes. While swelling generally subsides after a few days, it may persist around the bite site. Hypotension, along with weakness, dizziness, and episodes of semi-consciousness or unconsciousness, are also reported. Without prompt and careful treatment, necrosis can spread, leading to the separation of skin, subcutaneous tissue, and muscle from healthy tissue, eventually sloughing off with serous exudate. This sloughing can be superficial or deep, occasionally reaching down to the bone. Gangrene and secondary infections are common, potentially resulting in the loss of digits or limbs. The fatality rate depends heavily on the severity of the bite and other factors. Deaths are relatively rare, likely occurring in less than 15% of untreated cases, typically within 2 to 4 days due to complications like blood volume deficit and disseminated intravascular coagulation. However, some reports indicate a 52% mortality rate for severe envenomations. Most fatalities are linked to poor clinical management and neglect. In Mwingi, Kenya, a young boy recently faced a life-threatening encounter with one of Africa's most dangerous snakes, the puff adder. The boy was bitten while playing near his home, a common activity that turned into a nightmare. Puff adders, known for their venomous bites, are responsible for many snakebite incidents in Africa, and their bites can be fatal if not treated promptly. The boy's family, living in a rural area with limited access to medical facilities, quickly realized the severity of the situation. Unfortunately, due to the remote location and the time it took to reach medical help, the boy was in critical condition upon arrival.
Musioki here still requires another dose of antivenom because this bleeding is a sign that the envenomation is still active in the system.
Thanks to the swift intervention of local healthcare providers and the availability of antivenom, the boy's life was saved. However, the bite left him with significant injuries that will require long-term care. The medical team, aware of the high stakes, worked tirelessly to stabilize the boy, demonstrating their commitment to saving lives despite the challenges posed by the rural healthcare system. This story highlights the resilience of the people in Mwingi and the dedication of healthcare workers who often operate with limited resources. The boy's survival is a testament to their efforts, and the local community has expressed deep gratitude for the healthcare team's quick and effective response. The report from BBC brought this story to the forefront, shining a light on the ongoing challenges faced by communities in Kenya and other parts of Africa where venomous snakes are a daily threat. Their coverage has not only informed the public, but also underscored the need for better resources and support for rural healthcare systems. By sharing stories like this, BBC plays a crucial role in advocating for those who are often overlooked, ensuring that their struggles and triumphs are acknowledged and addressed. 3. Naja melanoleuca, the forest cobra. Also known as the black cobra or the black and white-lipped cobra, is a highly venomous snake native to Africa, particularly in the central and western regions. As the largest true cobra species, it can reach an impressive length of up to 3.2 meters, 10 feet 6 inches. While it predominantly inhabits lowland forests and moist savannas, the forest cobra is remarkably adaptable, capable of thriving in drier environments within its range. Known for its excellent swimming abilities, it is often considered semi-aquatic. The forest cobra is a generalist predator, feeding on a diverse array of prey, including large insects, small mammals, and other reptiles. This species is known for its alert and nervous disposition and is considered medically significant due to its potent venom. When threatened, it displays the typical cobra defensive behavior, raising the front part of its body, spreading a narrow hood, and hissing loudly. Although bites from this species are less common compared to other African cobras, any bite should be treated as a life-threatening emergency. The forest cobra belongs to the genus Naja, within the family Elapidae. It was first described by American herpetologist Edward Hallowell in 1857. The genus name Naja is derived from the Sanskrit word naga, meaning cobra, while the species name Melanoleuca comes from the Greek words melano, meaning black, and leuca, meaning white, reflecting the snake's coloration. The genus Naja, initially described by Josephus Nicholas Laurenti in 1768, was later divided into several subgenera based on factors like morphology, diet, and habitat. Naja melanoleuca is part of the subgenus Bullingerina, which includes species like Naja annulata, Naja christii, and Naja multifasciata. These snakes are typically found in Central and West African forests or forest edge habitats, and they tend to have a more aquatic lifestyle, often preying on aquatic animals. The subgenus Bullingerina exhibits a wide range of sizes, with the forest cobra being one of the largest, reaching nearly 2.7 meters or 8.9 feet in length, while the burrowing cobra, Naja multifasciata, is much smaller, typically not exceeding 0.8 meters or 2.6 feet. Recently, the population of cobras on São Tomé and Príncipe was identified as a new species named Naja escobari. Additionally, a recent study using a multi-locus genotype dataset and morphological analysis suggests that what was previously known as Naja melanoleuca is actually a group of 5 distinct species. The first one is Naja melanoleuca Hallowell, 1857, found in the Central African forests, including countries like Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Gabon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, and Angola. The second one is Naja subfulva loron, 1955. Inhabits forests and savanna woodlands in eastern, southern, and central Africa, spanning from Chad and Nigeria to South Africa and Mozambique. The third one is Naja escobari syriaco et al. 2017, specific to São Tomé and Príncipe. The fourth one, Naja guineensis broadly et al. And Worcester et al. 2018, native to the Upper Guinea forests of West Africa, including Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Togo. And finally, the fifth one, Naja savannula broadly et al. In Worcester et al. 2018, found in the savanna regions of West Africa, from Senegal and Gambia to Nigeria and Cameroon. The forest cobra is recognized as Africa's largest cobra in the genus Naja and possibly the largest of all true cobra species worldwide. An average adult forest cobra measures between 1.4 to 2.2 meters or 4.6 to 7.2 feet in length, though it can regularly reach up to 2.7 meters or 8.9 feet, with some individuals documented at a length of 3.2 meters or 10 feet. The average body mass in a survey, which included juveniles, was around 509.5 grams or 1.123 pounds. But large, mature individuals can weigh between 2,000 and 3,600 grams or 4.4 to 7.9 pounds. Males and females grow to similar lengths, as there is no sexual dimorphism in size, although females tend to have larger heads, a characteristic not linked to diet since both sexes consume similar prey. Physically, the forest cobra has a large, broad, and flattened head that is slightly distinct from its neck. It is a moderately thick-bodied snake with a tapered, slender tail. The body is compressed dorso-ventrally, particularly towards the posterior, and it has long cervical ribs that can expand to form a long, wedge-shaped hood when threatened. The snake's snout is rounded, and it has large eyes with round pupils. Despite these features, females have larger heads than males, though the reason for this difference is unclear as it is not related to dietary differences. The venom yield per bite from a forest cobra varies significantly among sources, with a maximum dose of 500 milligrams recorded in one study, while another reported an average dose of 571 milligrams dry venom, with a maximum of 1,102 milligrams obtained from 59 milkings of 2 individuals. Symptoms of envenomation can include ptosis or drooping eyelids, drowsiness, limb paralysis, hearing loss, speech difficulties, dizziness, ataxia, shock, hypotension, abdominal pain, fever, pallor, and other neurological and respiratory issues. Although the forest cobra is one of the least frequent causes of snake bites among African cobras, largely due to its forest-dwelling habits, a bite from this species is very serious. It ranks as the fourth most venomous species in the Naja genus, with symptoms similar to those caused by the Egyptian cobra, Naja hage. Due to the rarity of clinical encounters with this species, documented cases of envenomation are few. However, deaths from respiratory failure due to severe neurotoxicity have been reported, though most victims can survive if antivenom is administered promptly once symptoms are observed. Rarely, some patients have recovered spontaneously without antivenom, but avoiding antivenom increases the risk of severe complications and death. The forest cobra does not spit or spray its venom, but if cornered or agitated, it can strike quickly, injecting a large amount of venom, which can result in a rapidly fatal outcome. Although the exact mortality rate of an untreated bite is unknown, it is believed to be quite high. 2 cases in Liberia involve severe neurological symptoms such as ptosis, nausea, vomiting, tachycardia, and respiratory distress, while a child in Ghana died within 20 minutes of being bitten by what was suspected to be this species. This species is unique among African cobras for its ability to live in high forest environments, although it is highly adaptable to various habitats depending on its location. In southern Africa, forest cobras are typically found in savanna and grassland regions, sometimes in rocky areas, while in western and central Africa, they prefer tropical and subtropical rainforests. They are also found in mangroves in western Africa, and in West Africa, the banded form of the forest cobra lives in savannas and grasslands, particularly near streams and well-vegetated areas, up to latitude 14 degrees north. This species thrives in lowland forests and moist savannas, favoring coastal thickets, but it can also move into drier areas if necessary. In western Kenya, for example, forest cobras have been found in extensive grasslands, while in Uganda, they're almost always near water. The brown color phase of the cobra occurs in coastal and high-altitude forests, woodlands, thickets, and grasslands, such as in Nyanga, Zimbabwe. Due to its secretive nature and preference for living in holes, the forest cobra often persists in well-populated areas, even in towns where most vegetation has disappeared. They are commonly found on fruit plantations, living in trees, and they occupy a wide altitude range, from sea level to forested mountains at 2,800 meters or 9,200 feet above sea level. The forest cobra is an agile and diurnal species, meaning it is mostly active during the day. However, it can also be nocturnal in urban areas, where it often ventures at night. Despite being a terrestrial snake, it is an excellent climber, capable of ascending trees to heights of 10 meters or 33 feet or more. It is also a fast and alert snake, known for its quick movements and ability to swim well. In some regions, fish make up a significant part of its diet, making it semi-aquatic. When not active, the forest cobra takes cover in various places, such as holes, brush piles, hollow logs, root clusters, rock crevices, or abandoned termite mounds at the forest edge or in clearings. In certain areas, it hides along riverbanks in overhanging root systems or bird holes, and in urban settings, it may hide in junk piles or in used buildings. When agitated, the forest cobra rears up to a considerable height, spreads its long, narrow hood, and can strike quickly over a long distance. If cornered or provoked, it will make a determined effort to bite. This alert and agile species is considered one of the most dangerous African snakes to keep in captivity, as many captive individuals are described as particularly aggressive when handled. Unlike some other cobras, the forest cobra does not spit its venom. The forest cobra has a diverse diet, feeding on a wide variety of prey, including amphibians, fish, other snakes, monitor lizards and other lizards, bird eggs, rodents, and other small mammals. It has even been recorded eating mud skippers, and in West Africa, one specimen consumed an African giant shrew, an insectivore known for its noxious smell, which most other snakes avoid. Reproductively, the forest cobra is oviparous, meaning it lays eggs. In the summer, females lay between 11 and 26 smooth, white eggs, each about 3 to 6 centimeters, or 1.2 to 2.4 in long. The eggs stick together in a bunch and are typically laid in hollow trees, termite mounds, holes in the ground, or nests made by the females. Before mating, a pair of forest cobras will dance, raising their heads a foot or more off the ground and moving to and fro for about an hour before mating. During mating, the male presses his cloaca, the chamber into which the reproductive, urinary, and intestinal canals empty, against that of the female. Female forest cobras are particularly aggressive during the breeding period, often standing guard over their nests and attacking without provocation if their nest is near a footpath, posing a potentially fatal risk to passersby. Hatchlings are born completely independent and typically measure 22 to 25 centimeters, or 8.7 to 9.8 inches, in length, though some sources claim they can be up to 47 centimeters, or 19 inches long. The incubation period ranges from 55 to 70 days, although it can be over 80 days in some captive studies, at temperatures of 27 to 30 degrees Celsius, or 81 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Forest cobras are known to have long lifespans, with one captive specimen living for 28 years, the longest recorded for a venomous snake in captivity, though another specimen at the Melbourne Zoo in Australia turned 35 on September 1, 2014. Certainly, the documentary Minutes to Die provides a heart-wrenching account of the impact of snake bites in areas where access to medical care and antivenom is scarce. Among the many stories it tells, the one involving 2 young girls is particularly tragic and serves as a poignant illustration of the devastating effects of snakebite envenomation. In a rural community where venomous snakes are a common threat, 2 young girls were bitten by a highly venomous snake, likely while they were playing in their bedroom. The specific type of snake isn't detailed in the retelling, but given the region and the severity of the bites, it was probably one of the more dangerous species, such as a forest cobra or a black mamba. The immediate aftermath of the bites was terrifying. Both girls began to show symptoms of severe envenomation, which can include intense pain, swelling, and eventually, systemic effects such as paralysis or organ failure. In many rural areas, medical facilities are often far away, and transportation is difficult, especially in emergencies like this. The families of the girls, desperate to save them, likely faced a harrowing journey to the nearest clinic or hospital. Time is critical in snakebite cases, as the venom begins to take effect rapidly, and without timely administration of antivenom, the chances of survival decrease significantly. Despite the best efforts of their families, one of the girls did not survive. The venom had already done too much damage by the time they reached medical help, and she passed away, leaving her family devastated. The other girl managed to survive, but the cost was enormous. The venom had caused severe damage to her body, leading to a permanent disability. This could have been due to muscle necrosis, nerve damage, or other complications from the venom, which often leads to long-term or lifelong impairment if not treated quickly and effectively. This story, though deeply personal and tragic, is emblematic of a larger issue that Minutes to Die seeks to highlight: the global snakebite crisis. In many parts of the world, particularly in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, snakebites are a common yet underreported and underfunded public health problem. The lack of access to effective antivenom, the scarcity of medical facilities, and the long distances people must travel to receive treatment all contribute to the high mortality and disability rates associated with snakebites. The documentary calls attention to the urgent need for better resources, education, and infrastructure to combat snakebite envenomation and prevent stories like this from being all too common. The fate of these 2 girls serves as a powerful reminder of the human cost of neglecting this critical health issue. 4. Naja nivea, the Cape cobra, and commonly referred to as the yellow cobra, is a moderately sized, highly venomous species of cobra found across various biomes in southern Africa, including arid savannas, fynbos, bushveld, deserts, and semi-deserts. This diurnal snake is a feeding generalist, preying on a wide range of species as well as carrion. Its natural predators include birds of prey, honey badgers, and several mongoose species. In South Africa, the Cape cobra is also known by other names such as geelslang meaning, yellow snake, and broenkapel, brown cobra. with Afrikaans speakers often calling it koperkapel, meaning copper cobra, due to a common rich yellow color variation. There are no recognized subspecies of this cobra. Najanivia was first described in 1758 by Swedish zoologist Karl Linnaeus. The genus name Naja is a Latinized form of the Sanskrit word naga, meaning cobra, while the specific epithet nivea is derived from the Latin words nix or niveus, meaning snow or snowy. The connection to snow is unclear, but it might have been suggested by the discoloration of the first preserved specimens sent to European taxonomists. Initially, Linnaeus classified the species under the binomial name Colubra niveus, but around a decade later, Josephus Nicholas Laureni reassigned it to the genus Naja, which he established for true cobras. In 2007, a study by Worcester and colleagues divided the Naja genus into 4 subgenera based on lineage, morphology, and diet. Najanivia was placed in the subgenus Ureus, which includes African non-spitting cobras such as the Cape cobra, N. nivea, Egyptian cobra, N. Hage, snout cobra, N. annulifera, and Keita's cobra, N. Coyote, Arabian cobra, N. arabica, and Senegalese cobra, N. senegalensis. The Cape cobra is a medium-sized species of cobra, typically measuring between 1.2 to 1.4 meters or 3.9 to 4.6 feet in length, though some can grow up to 1.6 meters or 5.2 feet. Males are usually slightly larger than females. The longest recorded Cape cobra was a male from AUS, Namibia, which reached 1.88 meters or 6.2 feet. Another large specimen, also a male, was found in De Hoop Nature Reserve, measuring 1.86 meters or 6.1 feet in length. The coloration of Cape cobras varies significantly, ranging from yellow to golden brown, dark brown, and even black. They may also exhibit different degrees of black or pale stippling and blotches. Although color and markings can be geographically linked, almost all color variations can be observed within a single location. For example, specimens from the Kalahari Desert in Botswana and Namibia are typically more consistently yellow, whereas in areas like De Hoop in the Western Cape, all color variations have been recorded. Juvenile Cape cobras usually have a distinctly dark throat that extends down the belly across about a dozen ventral scales. This coloration fades during the first year or 2 of life, but often causes them to be mistaken for the rinkhouse spitting cobra while it lasts. The Cape cobra is native to southern Africa, predominantly found in South Africa, where it inhabits regions throughout the Western Cape, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Free State, and Northwest Province. It is also present in the southern half of Namibia, southwestern Botswana, and western Lesotho. Despite having a smaller geographical range compared to other African cobras, the Cape cobra thrives in a variety of habitats. Its preferred environments include fynbos, bushveld, Karoo scrubland, arid savannas, the Namib Desert, and the Kalahari Desert. The snake often takes shelter in rodent burrows, abandoned termite mounds, and rock crevices in arid regions. In temperate and arid charoid regions, it is commonly found along rivers and streams that enter well-drained, open areas. In Lesotho, Cape cobras can be found at altitudes as high as 2,500 meters, 8,200 feet above sea level. They are also present in the forest and high grassland areas of the Free State Province, in the rocky hills of the Cape Province, and in desert and semi-desert regions throughout their range. Cape cobras frequently come into contact with humans as they venture into villages, low-density suburbs of Cape Town, luxury properties along the Atlantic coast, and squatter communities. They may enter houses to escape the heat of the day or to hunt prey, such as rodents, bringing them into direct interaction with people. The Cape cobra is a diurnal species, meaning it is active and forages throughout the day. During extremely hot weather, it may become crepuscular, active during dawn and dusk, but it is rarely seen at night. Although primarily terrestrial, the Cape cobra is also an adept climber, often seen in trees and bushes. This agility is demonstrated when it systematically robs the nests of sociable weavers. When not active, the Cape cobra hides in holes or underground cover like brush piles, often staying in the same location for extended periods. It is a quick-moving and alert snake. While generally considered calmer than some other African venomous snakes, it will strike readily if threatened. When disturbed and cornered, the Cape cobra raises its forebody off the ground, spreads a broad hood, and may hiss loudly. If the threat remains still, the snake will try to escape, but any sign of movement will cause it to assume its defensive posture again. The Cape cobra is more aggressive during the mating season. As a feeding generalist, the Cape cobra consumes a wide range of prey, including other snakes, rodents, lizards, birds, and carrion. A study conducted at DeHoop from October 2004 to March 2006 found that the Cape cobra's diet consisted of 31% rodents, 20% other snakes, 11% lizards, 11% birds, 16% carrion, and 11% conspecifics. During this study, Cape cobras were observed scavenging and feeding on road-killed snakes on 2 occasions. The species is also known for raiding the nests of sociable weavers. Additionally, Cape cobras can be cannibalistic, sometimes consuming their own young. The Cape cobra has several natural predators, including the honey badger, meerkats, various mongoose species, and birds of prey like secretary birds and snake eagles. These predators often have a low susceptibility to the cobra's venom. Other snake species also occasionally prey on the Cape cobra. Reproductively, the Cape cobra is oviparous, meaning it lays eggs. The mating season occurs in September and October, a time when these snakes may be more aggressive. Females lay between 8 and 20 eggs in midsummer, typically in a hole, an abandoned termite mound, or another warm, moist location. The hatchlings, which measure between 34 and 40 centimeters, or 13 to 16 inches, in length, are completely independent from birth. In a captive study, mating took place in September with oviposition in November. The gestation period was about 42 days, and the incubation period lasted 65 to 70 days at a temperature of 28 to 33 degrees Celsius, in other words, 82 to 91 degrees Fahrenheit. The clutch size ranged from 11 to 14 eggs, with a hatchling ratio of 1 male to 5 females. The Cape cobra is considered one of the most dangerous cobra species in Africa, largely due to its potent venom and its frequent presence near human dwellings. The venom is thick and syrupy, drying into shiny pale flakes that resemble yellow sugar. The venom of the Cape cobra is composed of powerful postsynaptic neurotoxins and may also contain cardiotoxins. These toxins primarily affect the respiratory and nervous systems, as well as the heart. The mouse SC LD50, lethal dose for 50% of test subjects. For Cape cobra, venom ranges from 0.4 milligrams per kilogram to 0.72 milligrams per kilogram. The intravenous and intraperitoneal LD50 values are 0.4 milligrams per kilogram and 0.6 milligrams per kilogram, respectively. The average venom yield per bite is between 100 and 150 milligrams. Although the exact mortality rate for untreated bites is not well documented, it is believed to be high, around 50%. The severity of an envenomation can depend on various factors, such as the amount of venom injected, the psychological state of the victim, and whether one or both fangs penetrated the skin. Mechanical ventilation and symptom management are often sufficient to save a victim's life, but serious cases of Cape cobra envenomation require antivenom. When death occurs, it usually results from respiratory failure due to paralysis and can take anywhere from 1 to 10 hours or more, depending on the severity of the bite. The antivenom used in the case of a Cape cobra bite is a polyvalent antivenom produced by the South African Institute of Medical Research. Several documented cases of Cape cobra bites have been recorded in the public domain, highlighting the snake's dangerous reputation. Here are a few notable cases. A well-documented case involved a 5-year-old boy bitten by a Cape cobra in the Western Cape, South Africa. The child experienced rapid onset of severe symptoms, including difficulty breathing and paralysis. He was rushed to a hospital where he was intubated and placed on mechanical ventilation. Antivenom was administered, and after several days of intensive care, the child made a full recovery. A young adult male in Namibia was bitten on the foot by a Cape cobra while walking in a rural area. The bite led to immediate pain, swelling, and rapid development of neurological symptoms, including difficulty breathing. The victim was taken to a local clinic and then transferred to a regional hospital where he was treated with antivenom. Despite the severity of the symptoms, the patient survived, though he required several weeks of recovery. Unfortunately, not all Cape cobra bite cases result in recovery. In 2011, a 45-year-old man in Botswana was bitten while attempting to remove the snake from his property. He experienced rapid respiratory failure and was unable to reach medical help in time. Despite efforts by local residents to treat the bite with traditional methods, the man succumbed to the effects of the venom within hours. A farm worker in the Western Cape province was bitten on the hand by a Cape cobra while working in a vineyard. He quickly developed severe symptoms, including difficulty speaking and muscle weakness. Colleagues transported him to the nearest hospital, where he received antivenom and supportive care. After several days in the hospital, the worker was discharged with no lasting effects.
A well-known snake catcher from Stellenbosch died on Sunday after a Cape cobra bit him on Wednesday last week. The 39-year-old recount founded the Helderberg Wildlife Rescue and Anti-Animal Cruelty. Condolences poured in on social media. Posts of his death were shared on, among others, Boland Snake Removals 24/7 and Pest Control, Snakes of Southern Africa, Squirrel Rescue and Rehab, Pringle Bay Rewilding, and Crime Fighters Helderberg Basin. He had also been bitten by snakes before.
These cases illustrate the Cape cobra's highly toxic venom and the critical need for immediate medical attention following a bite. They also highlight the variability in outcomes depending on the circumstances, such as the location of the bite, the amount of venom injected, and the speed of access to medical care. 5. Naja hage, the Egyptian cobra, is one of the most venomous snakes in North Africa and is known to have bitten many people. It typically grows to about 1.4 meters or 4.6 feet in length, with the longest recorded specimen measuring 2.59 meters or 8.5 feet. First described by Swedish zoologist Karl Linnaeus in 1758, the generic name Naja is a Latinization of the Sanskrit word naga or nug, meaning cobra, while the specific epithet hage comes from the Arabic word aya or hayin, which means snake. Previously, the snout cobra, Naja annulifera, and Anchitas cobra, Naja anchiety, were considered subspecies of Naja hage, but they have since been classified as distinct species. Additionally, Arabian populations were once recognized as a separate subspecies, Naja hage arabica, and the black populations from Morocco were sometimes referred to as Naja hage legionis. However, a recent study has reclassified the Arabian cobra as a distinct species, Naja arabica, and synonymized the legionis subspecies with Naja hage. This same study also identified West African savanna populations as a new species, named Naja senegalensis. The Egyptian cobra is a large snake species characterized by a broad, depressed head that is slightly distinct from the neck. Like all cobras, its neck has elongated cervical ribs that can expand to form a hood. The snout is moderately broad and rounded, and the eyes are relatively large with round pupils. The body of the Egyptian cobra is cylindrical and robust, tapering to a long tail. The length of this species varies depending on subspecies, geographical location, and population. The most notable features of the Egyptian cobra are its prominent head and hood. The coloration of the Egyptian cobra is highly variable. Most individuals are some shade of brown, often featuring a teardrop mark below the eye. Some may have a more copper red or gray-brown hue. In northwestern Africa, particularly Morocco, specimens are almost entirely black. The ventral side is usually a creamy white, yellow-brown, grayish, blue-gray, dark brown, or black, often with dark spots. In terms of scalation, Naja hage has several distinctive features. The dorsal scales at mid-body number between 19 and 20, while the ventral scales range from 191 to 220. The anal plate is single, and the subcaudal scales are paired, numbering between 53 and 65. The snake has one preocular scale, 2 or 3 postocular scales, and 2 or 3 subocular scales. The upper labial scales typically number 7, although there are occasionally 6 or 8, and these are separated from the eyes by the suboculars. The lower labial scales number 8, and the temporal scales are arranged in a 1+2 or 1+3 pattern. Most cobras use the tips of their tails defensively by mimicking the appearance of their heads. This behavior, known as tail display, involves the snake curling the tip of its tail upward and often vibrating it to resemble its head or a part of its body. By doing so, the cobra creates a deceptive visual signal that can confuse predators or threats, making it harder for them to target the actual head, which is the more vital and dangerous part of the snake. This defensive strategy helps the cobra deter potential threats and protect itself from attack. Some cobras use the sharp, pointed tip of their tails to distract or deter threats. This tactic involves the snake positioning the tail tip in a way that it appears menacing or potentially painful. The sharp tip can be used to jab or poke at a predator, making the tail look more like a weapon. This distraction helps to keep the predator's attention away from the cobra's more vulnerable head. By creating this diversion, the cobra enhances its chances of escaping or defending itself from danger. The Egyptian cobra is found across a wide range in North Africa, extending north of the Sahara, across the savannas of West Africa, south to the Congo Basin, and eastward to Kenya and Tanzania. Previous records from southern Africa and the Arabian Peninsula were mistakenly attributed to this species and actually refer to other species. In captivity, the Egyptian cobra can be seen in various zoos both within and outside its natural range. Notable examples include the Giza Zoo, the San Diego Zoo, and the Virginia Aquarium, all of which feature the Egyptian cobra in their reptile exhibits. An interesting incident occurred at the Bronx Zoo on March 26, 2011, when the zoo announced that its reptile house was temporarily closed due to the disappearance of a venomous adolescent female banded Egyptian cobra from its off-exhibit enclosure on March 25th. Zoo officials were confident that the snake would be found within the building, as Egyptian cobras are known to be uncomfortable in open spaces. Additionally, the cold weather outside would have affected the snake's metabolism. On March 31, 2011, the cobra was found in good health in a dark corner of the reptile house. After a naming contest, the snake was named Mia, or MIA, which stands for Missing in Action. Najahage occurs in a wide variety of habitats, such as steppes, dry to moist savannas, and arid semi-desert regions with some water and vegetation. This species is frequently found near water. The Egyptian cobra is also found in agricultural fields and scrub vegetation. It also occurs in the presence of humans, where it often enters houses. It is attracted to villages by rodent pests, rats, and domestic chickens. There are also notes of the Egyptian cobra swimming in the Mediterranean Sea, and it is often found in water. The Egyptian cobra is a terrestrial species that is primarily crepuscular or nocturnal, though it can occasionally be seen basking in the sun early in the morning. This species tends to establish a permanent home base in abandoned animal burrows, termite mounds, or rock outcrops. It is an active forager and sometimes enters human habitations, particularly when hunting domestic fowl. Like other cobras, the Egyptian cobra generally tries to flee when approached, at least for a few meters, but if threatened, it will adopt the typical upright posture with its hood expanded and will strike. This species has a preference for eating toads, but it also preys on small mammals, birds, eggs, lizards, and other snakes. Additionally, it serves as an intermediate host for the acanthocephalan parasite Pachycentis ehrenbergi. The venom of the Egyptian cobra is composed mainly of neurotoxins and cytotoxins. A single bite can yield an average of 175 to 300 milligrams of venom, and the murine subcutaneous LD50 value is 1.15 milligrams per kilogram. However, studies by Mohammed et al. 1973 reported LD50 values of 0.12 milligrams per kilogram and 0.25 milligrams per kilogram via intraperitoneal injections in specimens from Egypt. Research by Owen et al. 1970 on various elapids, including Najahage from different geographical regions, found venom potency ranging from 0.08 milligrams per kilogram to 1.7 milligrams per kilogram via intravenous injections on mice. The study also revealed that Egyptian cobra specimens from northern Africa, particularly from Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, and Libya, possess significantly more potent venom than those from the species' more southern and western range. including Sudan and West Africa, that is Senegal, Nigeria, and Mali. The venom primarily affects the nervous system by inhibiting the transmission of nerve signals to the muscles, and in later stages, it disrupts signals to the heart and lungs, leading to death by complete respiratory failure. Envenomation results in local pain, severe swelling, bruising, blistering, necrosis, and a variety of nonspecific symptoms such as headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, dizziness, collapse, or convulsions, along with possible moderate to severe flaccid paralysis. Unlike some other African cobras, such as the red spitting cobra, the Egyptian cobra does not spit venom. In Egyptian mythology, the Egyptian cobra was symbolized by the cobra-headed goddess Merit-Seeker. A stylized version of the Egyptian cobra, known as the uraeus, represented the goddess Wadjet and was a symbol of sovereignty for the pharaohs, who incorporated it into their diadems. This iconic imagery continued until the end of ancient Egyptian civilization in 30 BC. Many ancient sources attribute the deaths of Queen Cleopatra of Egypt and her two handmaidens to the bite of an Egyptian cobra following the fall of Egypt to Octavian. According to reports, the snake was smuggled into her chambers hidden in a basket of figs. Plutarch wrote that Cleopatra had experimented on condemned prisoners with various poisons and snake venoms, ultimately finding the venom of the aspies to be the most painless of all fatal toxins. In Ptolemaic Egypt, the term aspies, an ancient Greek word referring to various venomous snakes, was most likely used for the Egyptian cobra. However, recent studies have questioned this account of her suicide, as the relatively large size of the snake would have made it difficult to conceal, and because the venom of the Egyptian cobra is slow-acting and not always lethal. The Egyptian cobra gained significant attention in Canada in the fall of 2006 when a pet cobra escaped, forcing the evacuation of a house in Toronto for more than 5 months, as it was believed the snake had taken refuge in the walls of the home. The owner was fined $17,000 and sentenced to a year in jail. In another incident, in July 2018, magician Arif Ghafouri was bitten by an Egyptian cobra while preparing for a show in Turkey. He was quickly evacuated to Egypt, where he received anti-venom treatment and made a full recovery. Being a snake milker is not for the faint of heart, nor for anyone particularly attached to all 10 fingers. Imagine waking up each day, grabbing your coffee, and then heading off to squeeze venom out of some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. That's a special kind of passion, or maybe a touch of madness. These guys are like the rock stars of the reptile world, except instead of guitars, they're handling fanged assassins with scales. They've got to have nerves of steel, a heart full of dedication, and a serious appreciation for living on the edge, literally. When one of them waves a hand, don't be surprised if a finger is missing. It's not a magic trick. It's the price of doing business when your business involves the possibility of getting a little too friendly with a cobra. The risks are real, and so is the sacrifice. Each day on the job is a balancing act between life and death, and that takes an insane level of dedication. But despite the dangers, these snake milkers keep going, driven by a passion that's as venomous as the snakes they work with. So next time you're watching one of these videos, remember, the guy on the screen is putting his life on the line, all for the love of snakes, and maybe just a little bit for the thrill of dodging death on a daily basis. 6. Naja mosambica, Mozambique spitting cobra, is a highly venomous spitting cobra species native to Africa. It is commonly found in countries such as Angola, Botswana, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. This species was first described in 1854 by German naturalist Wilhelm Peters. The snake typically has a slate to blue, olive, or tawny black color on its upper side, with some or all of its scales edged in black. The underside varies from salmon pink to purple yellowish, often with black bars across the neck and ventral scales that may be speckled or edged with brown or black. Juveniles may exhibit pink or yellow bars on their throats. Adult Mozambique spitting cobras typically measure between 90 centimeters and 105 centimeters, or 3 to 3.5 feet, in length, although the largest recorded individual was a male measuring 154 centimeters, or 5 feet, in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. This species is the most prevalent cobra in the savanna regions of tropical and subtropical Africa. Its range includes all of Mozambique, KwaZulu-Natal, extending as far south as Durban, the low-veld region of Mpumalanga, southeastern Tanzania and Pemba Island, and stretches westward to southeastern Angola and northeastern Namibia. Younger snakes are more often seen in the open during the day. Unlike the Egyptian cobra, the Mozambique spitting cobra prefers habitats near water and will quickly retreat to water when threatened. The Mozambique spitting cobra is considered one of Africa's most dangerous snakes. Its venom is nearly as potent as that of the American Mojave rattlesnake, known as the world's most venomous rattlesnake. Like the rink house, this cobra can spit its venom, and its bite can cause severe local tissue damage similar to that inflicted by the puff adder. If venom gets into the eyes, it can lead to impaired vision or blindness. The snake's venom contains postsynaptic neurotoxin and cytotoxin. While fatalities from bites are rare, survivors often suffer disfigurement. Currently, a polyvalent antivenom is being developed by the Instituto Clodomiro Picado at the Universidad de Costa Rica. The diet of the Mozambique spitting cobra primarily includes amphibians, other snakes, birds, eggs, small mammals, and occasionally insects. This species is also known to scavenge, sometimes feeding on carcasses in an advanced state of decomposition. It has been observed consuming venomous snakes like the black mamba, having developed immunity to its venom. The snake is known for its nervous and temperamental nature. When threatened at close range, it can raise up to 2/3 of its body length, spread its narrow hood, and spit venom in defense, often from an upright position. The venom can be accurately projected 2 to 3 meters or 6.5 to 10 feet. Remarkably, this cobra can also spit venom without rearing up or spreading its hood, and can even do so from confined spaces. Depending on the situation, the snake might choose to bite instead of spitting, and like the rink house, it may feign death to avoid further confrontation. The Mozambique spitting cobra lays an average of 10 to 22 eggs, with hatchlings measuring around 230 to 250 millimeters. There are several accounts and stories related to Mozambique spitting cobra bites, reflecting the snake's dangerous reputation. These stories often highlight the severity of the envenomation and the difficulties in treating the effects. In many parts of southern Africa, especially in rural areas, farmers and villagers are at risk of encountering this snake. There are reports of individuals who, while working in fields or around their homes, were bitten by a Mozambique spitting cobra. These bites often result in severe local tissue destruction, leading to permanent damage or the need for surgical intervention to remove necrotic tissue. One of the more infamous stories involves cases where the snake spat venom into the eyes of individuals who inadvertently came too close. Such incidents often lead to immediate, excruciating pain, and in some cases, permanent blindness if medical care is not promptly administered. For example, there have been reports of children who, while playing outside, were sprayed with venom and required intensive medical care to save their vision. There are also accounts of Mozambique spitting cobras entering homes or gardens and attacking pets. In one instance, a dog was sprayed with venom while trying to protect its owners, leading to severe eye damage and the need for urgent veterinary care. The pet's recovery was difficult and prolonged, illustrating how even non-human victims can suffer from these encounters. Some survivors of Mozambique spitting cobra bites have shared their experiences, often highlighting the long recovery process and the disfigurement that follows. For instance, a man in South Africa was bitten on the hand while attempting to remove what he thought was a harmless snake from his property. The bite led to severe tissue damage, requiring multiple surgeries and leaving him with a permanent disability. These stories underscore the need for caution when dealing with or living in areas where the Mozambique spitting cobra is present. The snake's aggressive nature and potent venom make it a significant threat to humans and animals alike. 7. Bitis gabonica, Gabon viper, also known as the Gabon adder, is a highly venomous viper species native to the rainforests and savannas of sub-Saharan Africa. It is renowned for being the largest member of the genus Bitis and possesses the longest fangs of any venomous snake. reaching up to 2 inches or 5 centimeters in length. This snake also has the highest venom yield of any snake, making it one of the most dangerous vipers in the world. The name gaboon was originally a Portuguese term, gabeio, referring to the estuary near which Libreville, the capital of Gabon, is situated. The term also historically referred to a part of the northern French Congo, now known as Gabon. This snake's fearsome reputation is not just due to its size and venom, but also its exceptional camouflage, which allows it to remain undetected in its natural habitat, ambushing prey with lethal precision. Adult Gabon vipers typically measure between 125 to 155 centimeters, or 4 to 5 feet, in total length, including the tail. There have been reports of larger specimens, but these often belong to what is now classified as Bitis rhinoceros. The maximum reliable length for Bitis gabonica is around 175 centimeters, or 69 inches. Males can be distinguished from females by the relative length of their tails compared to their body length. In males, the tail constitutes around 12% of the total body length, while in females, it is about 6%. Females are particularly heavy and stout, with some weighing up to 8.5 kilograms, 19 pounds. The snake is considered the heaviest venomous snake in Africa and one of the heaviest in the world. One specimen, measuring 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet, weighed 11.3 kilograms or 25 pounds, even with an empty stomach. The Gabon viper has a large, triangular head that is markedly broader than its neck. It features a pair of small horns between its raised nostrils, which are more pronounced in other species within the Bitis genus. The eyes are large, forward-facing, and surrounded by 15 to 21 circumorbital scales. This arrangement provides the snake with a strong sense of depth perception, aiding in its ambush hunting style. The midbody has 28 to 46 dorsal scale rows, which are strongly keeled except for the outermost rows. The ventral scales number between 124 to 140, with males generally having fewer than 132 and females more. The subcaudal scales range from 17 to 33 pairs, with males having no fewer than 25 and females no more than 23. The anal scale is single. The snake's color pattern is highly effective for camouflage in its natural habitat, typically consisting of a series of pale, subrectangular blotches down the center of the back. These are interspersed with dark, yellow-edged, hourglass-shaped markings. The flanks have fawn or brown rhomboidal shapes with light vertical central bars. The belly is pale with irregular brown or black blotches. The head is usually white or cream-colored with a dark central line running through it. There are black spots on the rear corners of the head and a dark blue-black triangle behind and below each eye. The iris can vary in color, ranging from cream and yellow-white to orange or silvery. A fascinating ecological interaction involves the Congolese giant toad, scientifically known as Sclerophrys chaningi, which is thought to be a Batesian mimic of the Gabon viper. This toad's head resembles that of the viper, potentially deterring predators by mimicking the appearance of this dangerous snake. The Gabon viper, Bitis gabonica, has a wide distribution across sub-Saharan Africa, inhabiting a variety of ecosystems primarily within tropical and subtropical regions. The type locality of the species is Gabon, which reflects the species' strong association with Central African rainforests. The Gabon viper primarily inhabits rainforests and nearby woodlands, where it benefits from the dense vegetation and leaf litter that provide excellent camouflage. It is usually found at low altitudes, but it can also be encountered at elevations up to 1,500 meters, and in some areas, even as high as 2,100 meters above sea level. Gabon vipers are primarily nocturnal, most active during the first 6 hours of the night. They are known for their ambush hunting strategy, where they remain motionless for long periods, blending into their surroundings and waiting for unsuspecting prey to pass by. Despite this, they are also capable of active hunting, particularly when food is scarce or conditions are favorable. An example of their adaptability is seen in Maasai, Ghana, where Gabon vipers were regularly encountered and killed by ranch hands around stables located in an open field near a forest. These snakes were likely hunting rats in the grassland, demonstrating their ability to hunt in various environments. Gaboon vipers are known for their unusually docile nature, especially compared to other vipers. They rarely bite or hiss, even when handled, making them more tolerant of human interaction. However, individual temperament can vary, and some may bite when provoked. When threatened, they can hiss loudly as a warning, though they typically strike only when severely provoked. Gaboon vipers usually move in a rectilinear manner, a slow, walking motion using their ventral scales. When alarmed, they may writhe from side to side, but generally only for short distances. Despite their generally slow and deliberate movements, they are capable of moving quickly when needed, and Ditmars, 1933, even described them as being capable of sidewinding, though this behavior is not commonly observed. When threatened, Gaboon vipers can produce a loud, rhythmic hiss, flattening their heads slightly with each breath. Despite this intimidating display, they are unlikely to strike unless they feel severely threatened. However, it is important to note that they are among the fastest striking snakes in the world, which means that caution is always necessary when dealing with them. Gaboon vipers have a wider range of eye movement compared to other snakes. Their eyes can move along a horizontal plane, maintaining movement even when the head is tilted up or down at angles up to 45 degrees. If the head is rotated 360 degrees, the eyes can move independently, one tilting up and the other down, depending on the direction of rotation. This allows for a broader field of vision and better depth perception, critical for an ambush predator. When the snake is asleep, there is no eye movement, and the pupils are strongly contracted. Upon waking, the pupils dilate suddenly, and the characteristic rapid, jerky eye movements resume. Numerous accounts describe the Gaboon viper's generally unaggressive nature. For instance, Sweeney, 1961, noted that they could be handled as freely as non-venomous species, although this is not recommended due to the risk of a bite. In another account, Ionides described using tongs to lightly touch the snake's head to gauge its reaction before safely handling it, often finding that the snake remained calm and did not struggle. Due to their large, robust bodies, adult Gaboon vipers can consume relatively large prey, including fully grown rabbits. Their ability to take on such substantial prey is a testament to their powerful build and the efficiency of their venom. Gaboon vipers are adept at striking from any angle, thanks to their long, mobile fangs. If they miss or strike an unsuitable area of their prey, they can quickly reposition and strike again. This precision is crucial for ensuring that they deliver a lethal dose of venom to immobilize their prey. Unlike many other vipers, which strike their prey and then release it to wait for the venom to take effect, Gaboon vipers often hold onto their prey after striking. Their large fangs allow them to maintain a firm grip, ensuring that their prey is quickly subdued and unable to escape. The combination of ambush hunting, powerful venom, and a tendency to hold on to prey makes the Gaboon viper a highly effective predator. Their ability to consume such a wide variety of prey, from small rodents to larger mammals, showcases their adaptability and predatory efficiency. This broad diet helps them thrive in various habitats, whether in dense forests, agricultural lands, or grasslands. Gaboon vipers are viviparous, meaning they give birth to live young. Females can have a large number of offspring, with litters ranging from 50 to 60 babies at a time. This high reproductive output ensures the continued survival of the species in their natural habitats. Following a bite, rapid and conspicuous swelling occurs at the site of the bite, accompanied by intense pain. The venom can induce severe shock, which is a critical condition requiring immediate medical attention. The area around the bite may blister, bruise, and experience extensive necrosis, also known as tissue death. This local tissue damage can be so severe that surgical intervention, including excision of dead tissue or even amputation of the affected limb, might be necessary. Uncoordinated movements, swelling of the tongue and eyelids, and convulsions can occur. In severe cases, the victim may lose consciousness. The venom can cause sudden hypotension, a dangerous drop in blood pressure, and damage to the heart. The victim may also experience dyspnea, difficulty breathing. The venom can render the blood incoagulable, leading to internal bleeding. This can manifest as hematuria or blood in the urine and hematemesis, vomiting of blood. The healing process from a gaboon viper bite can be slow, and complications during recovery are common. The risk of fatality remains even during the recovery period due to the extensive damage caused by the venom.
This is a story out of Pennsylvania, and I'll read it from the Record Herald. Snake bite victim, my hand's going to be fine. A Chambersburg man who was bitten by his pet viper is in stable condition at Harrisburg General Hospital, but has a period of recovery ahead. Barry Lee Painter Sr., 38, was flown to the hospital Wednesday night after his Western Gaboon viper bit his left hand. I picked him up and he bit me, Painter said. His friend Mike Kiefer, no age given, was driving Painter to the hospital when Painter passed out in the vehicle along Interstate 81. Police responded to the scene and he was flown to the hospital.
8. Echis carinatus, saw-scaled viper. Found in parts of Africa, is a small yet highly venomous snake known for its irritable and aggressive nature. This species typically measures between 30 to 90 centimeters or 1 to 3 feet in length, with a stout body and a flat, triangular head that is broader than its neck. Its scales are rough and serrated, giving it the name saw-scaled, and when threatened, it produces a distinctive sizzling sound by rubbing these scales together. The viper's coloration varies, often appearing in shades of brown, gray, or reddish with darker, more pronounced patterns along its back, allowing it to blend into its arid and scrubland habitats. Although primarily nocturnal, the saw-scaled viper can be found in various environments, including grasslands and areas close to human settlements. The venom of the saw-scaled viper is particularly dangerous, containing potent hematoxins that disrupt blood clotting, leading to severe pain, swelling, and potentially life-threatening hemorrhaging. Despite its small size, this viper is responsible for a significant number of snakebite fatalities in Africa, a consequence of its aggressive behavior and its tendency to live near human populations. The availability of anti-venom and prompt medical treatment are crucial in managing bites from this species, making it one of the most medically significant snakes in the regions it inhabits. There are several harrowing stories of encounters with the saw-scaled viper, Echis carinatus, in Africa, particularly in regions like North Africa and parts of the Sahel. These stories highlight the snake's reputation for being one of the most dangerous vipers due to its potent venom and proximity to human settlements. In a small village in West Africa, a young farmer was bitten by a saw-scaled viper while working in his fields at dusk. The snake, camouflaged among the dry grasses, struck quickly when the farmer accidentally stepped near it. Within minutes, the farmer experienced intense pain and swelling at the bite site, accompanied by dizziness and nausea. Unfortunately, the nearest medical facility was several hours away, and by the time he reached help, he was in a critical condition, suffering from severe internal bleeding. Despite receiving anti-venom, the delay in treatment led to complications that resulted in a prolonged recovery period. In another instance in Sudan, a nomadic herder was bitten by a saw-scaled viper while setting up camp for the night. The snake, known for being active during the cooler nighttime hours, had been hiding near the rocks. The herder, who was aware of the snake's danger, quickly applied a tourniquet and attempted to suck out the venom, a common but outdated practice. However, the venom's rapid spread caused significant tissue damage around the bite area, leading to necrosis. The herder survived, but only after undergoing a painful amputation of the affected limb to prevent the spread of gangrene. In a more tragic account, a child in North Africa was bitten by a saw-scaled viper while playing near a pile of stones outside his home. The snake's bite was quick, and its venom acted swiftly. The child's family, unfamiliar with the symptoms and severity of the bite, initially treated it as a minor wound. By the time they sought medical help, the child was already in the advanced stages of venom toxicity, experiencing severe internal bleeding and shock. Despite efforts to administer anti-venom, the child succumbed to the effects of the venom, underscoring the deadly potential of the saw-scaled viper. These stories are a reminder of the dangers posed by the saw-scaled viper, especially in rural areas where access to medical care and anti-venom can be limited. The snake's aggressive nature and potent venom make it a significant threat to human life in the regions it inhabits. 9. Echis ocellatus, West African carpet viper. Also known by the common names West African carpet viper, ocellated carpet viper, and African saw-tailed viper, is a highly venomous species of viper endemic to West Africa. No subspecies are currently recognized. It is responsible for more human fatalities due to snakebite than all other African species combined. An anti-venom called Equitab plus ICP is manufactured by the Costa Rican Instituto Clodomiro Picado, and another called Equitab-G is manufactured by Micropharm Ltd in the UK. Othmar Stemler described the species in 1970, and it was initially considered a subspecies of Echis carinatus. Recent revisions have split the species into three, with the recognition of Echis jageri from Senegal, Guinea, and Mali, and Echis romani from eastern Nigeria, southeastern Niger, Cameroon, and Chad. The specific name, ocellatus, is a reference to the distinctive series of eye spots, in other words, ocelli, which run the length of the body. The maximum total length, body plus tail, of Echis ocellatus is 65 centimeters or 26 inches, possibly more, while the average total length is 30 to 50 centimeters or 12 to 20 inches. They are characterized by their bulging eyes and short snout, typical of species of the genus Echis. Echis ocellatus is terrestrial, nocturnal, and crepuscular, usually going out to hunt its prey in the first hours of the night. It preys on small vertebrates like mammals, birds, lizards, and amphibians, and has been reported to hunt small invertebrates like centipedes and scorpions. It's a very aggressive viper. It forms its body into an S shape and rubs itself to make an alert sound with its scales. It is found in West Africa in Mali, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Togo, Benin, southern Niger, and Nigeria. Older records from Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea refer to Echis jageri, and those from eastern Nigeria, Cameroon, and southern Chad refer to Echis romani. The type locality is described as Haute Volta, Garango 048N 033W, Burkina Faso. There are also reports of single specimens found in Bangui in the Central African Republic and Central Sudan. It is rarely found north of the 15th parallel, after which Echis leucogaster becomes more common. The geographic range of Echis ocellatus extends to the coast via the Dahomey Gap, and they are mainly found in savanna and occasionally in wooded areas. Sexually mature females lay between 6 and 20 eggs, usually at the end of the dry season in February to March, and hatchlings are 10 to 12 centimeters, 3.9 to 4.7 inches in total length. Echis ocellatus is responsible for more fatalities than all other African snakes combined. Its venom is a compound of procoagulants, anticoagulants, hemorrhagens, nephrotoxins, and necrotoxins. Symptoms of their bites include local pain, swelling, bleeding, necrosis, and disfigurement, which may result in amputation. Systemic symptoms include coagulopathy, hemorrhages, shock, renal failure, and blindness. The envenoming rate is 80%, and the lethality rate is 10 to 20%.
In Ghana, snake bites affects many rural populations who are farmers. On average, between 2015 and 2019, 9,600 snake bites were recorded each year. And on average, this affected the ages of 20 to 34. Anti-snake venom is effective in managing snake bite if the right type is administered and it is administered early. My name is Demise Mimidako, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Food and Drugs Authority in Ghana. In Ghana, FDA's role is to ensure that good quality, safe, and efficacious anti-snake venom is available for use in Ghana. In 2017, we observed a surge in the cases of adverse reactions to anti-snake venom reported to the FDA through its pharmacovigilance system. Investigations revealed that it was mostly due to inaccuracies in the administration of anti-snake venoms. FDA requested marketing authorization holders of anti-snake venoms to develop posters with diagrams that would provide guidance for the correct dosing and administration of their brands of anti-snake venoms, and also to organize training for each of the healthcare professionals. This has tremendously reduced the adverse events to anti-snake venoms. In 2017, 61 cases were reported. In 2018, this dropped to 37 cases. In 2019, it had dropped further to 23 cases. Certain important things have to happen if we are to end snakebite suffering. Firstly, quality, safe, and effective anti-snake venom should be available and accessible. Secondly, healthcare professionals should ensure that they use only approved anti-snake venom whose quality, safety, and efficacy can be guaranteed. Thirdly, administration of the anti-snake venom should be early after a snake bite. Healthcare professionals should ensure that they read thoroughly and familiarize themselves with the labels and product information of the particular anti-snake venom before they administer it. Finally, healthcare professionals and patients should continue to report adverse reactions to anti-snake venom and other medical products to the Food and Drugs Authority to enable the Food and Drugs Authority implement appropriate risk minimization measures to ensure public health and safety.
10. Dysphallatus typus, the Boomslang, is one of Africa's most enigmatic and dangerous snakes, a creature whose name strikes both fear and fascination. Endemic to sub-Saharan Africa, this arboreal serpent slithers silently through the trees of forests, savannas, and grasslands, where it reigns as an elusive predator. Averaging between 3.3 to 5.2 feet in length, the Boomslang is distinguished by its slender, muscular body and striking coloration, which ranges from vibrant green to shades of brown and even black, depending on the snake's age and sex. With its large, egg-shaped head and eyes that seem to pierce through the foliage, the Boomslang is both beautiful and deadly, a creature perfectly adapted to its environment. This snake, whose name means tree snake in Afrikaans, is a master of disguise. Its coloration allows it to blend seamlessly into the leaves and branches where it hunts, waiting patiently for an unsuspecting victim to wander by. The Boomslang's diet is as varied as it is voracious, consisting primarily of chameleons, small mammals, birds, lizards, frogs, and occasionally other snakes. Its arboreal lifestyle offers it the perfect vantage point from which to strike, dropping silently onto its prey with a precision born of millions of years of evolution. But it is not just the Boomslang's hunting prowess that makes it infamous. It is the snake's venom, a potent cocktail of hemotoxins that disrupt the blood's ability to clot. Unlike many other venomous snakes that deliver their venom through short, fixed fangs at the front of the mouth, the Boomslang has large, rear-fang teeth that allow it to inject venom deep into its prey. This method of envenomation is effective, though slower than the quick strikes of vipers, and the Boomslang can open its jaws to an alarming 170 degrees to ensure a firm grip on its target. The effects of a Boomslang bite are as terrifying as they are insidious. The venom works slowly, with symptoms often taking several hours to manifest. This delay can be deceptive, leading victims to underestimate the seriousness of the bite. However, once the symptoms begin, they escalate quickly, starting with headaches, nausea, and mild discomfort, followed by more severe signs such as internal and external bleeding, as the hemotoxins wreak havoc on the body's clotting mechanisms. Blood begins to seep from the gums, nose, and even the tiniest cuts on the skin. Left untreated, the victim may experience paralysis, organ failure, and eventually death, as the body slowly succumbs to the venom's deadly effects. Despite its fearsome reputation, the Boomslang is not an aggressive snake. It is reclusive by nature, preferring to avoid confrontation rather than engage in it. When threatened, the Boomslang will inflate its neck, revealing its vibrant colors as a warning to would-be predators, but it will strike only if cornered or provoked. This reluctance to attack has led to a relatively low incidence of Boomslang bites on humans, though when bites do occur, they are often severe and sometimes fatal if not treated promptly. In the world of herpetology, the name Karl Schmidt commands respect, a man who dedicated his life to the study of reptiles and amphibians. But how often does one's passion for knowledge become their undoing? How often does curiosity kill more than just a cat? What happens when an expert meets his match in the form of a small, unassuming snake? Let me tell you the story of Karl Schmidt, the man who recorded his own death in the name of science. It was an ordinary day on September 25, 1957, at the Field Museum in Chicago. The air was thick with the scent of preservation chemicals, a familiar smell to Schmidt, who had spent years surrounded by glass cases filled with reptilian specimens. But that day, something out of the ordinary arrived, a package containing a young Boomslang, a snake known for its deadly hemotoxic venom. Karl, ever the scientist, opened the package with the nonchalance of a man who believed he had seen it all. He handled the snake, admiring its slender form, its innocuous size. After all, it was just a juvenile. What harm could it possibly do? And then it happened. A quick flash of movement, a prick on the thumb. Schmidt barely flinched. A bite, yes, but nothing he hadn't dealt with before. Or so he thought. Instead of panic, Karl chose to reach for his pen. After all, he was a man of science. Why not make this an experiment? Why not observe the effects of the venom firsthand, like a live study with the most unwilling subject? Himself? He began to write, and I quote, "For 30 p.m., just been bitten by a Boomslang. Minor discomfort. No need for alarm. It's a small snake. I'm an expert. I'll be fine." Dark humor, right? The irony was lost on him, but not on us. Wouldn't it have been easier to head straight to the hospital? But where's the fun in that? As the hours passed, Schmidt's journal became a grim catalog of his descent. 5 p.m., a bit of nausea. Nothing too serious. Could be nerves. 6:30 p.m., some bleeding from the gums. Mild headache. Strange but manageable. By this time, most of us would have dialed 911, or whatever the equivalent was in 1957. But Karl? He was still scribbling away, documenting his own undoing with clinical detachment. Was it bravery? Was it folly? Maybe a bit of both. 9 p.m., blood in my urine. Should have called for help, but it's too late now. Bed rest should help. Surely it'll pass. Surely. By the next morning, the situation was dire, though Schmidt's journal doesn't say much. His final entries are a mere whisper compared to his earlier notes. 11 a.m., too weak to write. Bleeding from nose, eyes, mouth. I think this might be it. Was there regret in those last scrawls? Did he curse the Boomslang, the snake that defied his expertise? Or was he resigned to his fate, accepting it as the price of his relentless pursuit of knowledge? Karl Schmidt passed away in his sleep on September 26, 1957. His death certificate listed the cause as respiratory paralysis due to the effects of the Boomslang venom. But his journal? That's his real legacy. A haunting, first-person account of a man who, despite his wisdom, became the victim of his own hubris. So, what do we learn from this? That even the experts can make fatal mistakes? That curiosity can indeed kill? Perhaps it's a reminder that sometimes it's better to be safe than scientific. Or maybe it's just a tragic tale of a man who loved his work a little too much. In the end, Karl Schmidt's story isn't just about a snake bite. It's about the thin line between knowledge and arrogance, between life and death. And it's a story that leaves us with a question. Would you have put down the pen and picked up the phone? Karl Schmidt's journal is more than just a record of symptoms. It's a sobering narrative of how one's expertise can sometimes be their greatest blind spot. It's a tale as instructive as it is tragic, as we're left to ponder. How far would we go for the sake of knowledge? And perhaps most poignantly, what would our last words be if we knew they were our very last? Treatment for a Boomslang bite involves the administration of specific antivenom, which is highly effective if given in time. However, the rarity of Boomslang bites means that this antivenom is not always readily available, making the snake's bite a serious medical emergency. Victims require immediate transportation to a hospital, where they are closely monitored for symptoms of envenomation and provided with supportive care, such as intravenous fluids and blood transfusions as needed. The Boomslang story is one of nature's perfect balance between beauty and danger, a reminder of the delicate interplay between predator and prey. While it may be one of Africa's deadliest snakes, it is also a testament to the incredible diversity of life on the continent, a creature that commands respect rather than fear. For those who encounter a Boomslang in the wild, the best course of action is to admire this remarkable snake from a safe distance, marveling at its silent grace as it glides through the trees, a master of its domain. 11. Dendroaspis jamesoni, Jameson's mamba, is indeed a highly venomous snake native to equatorial Africa, belonging to the mamba genus within the family Elapidae. It's known for its slender body, with a dull green coloration on the upper parts and cream-colored underparts. This species typically ranges in size from 1.5 to 2.2 meters in total length. The species was first described in 1843 by the Scottish naturalist Thomas Traill. There are two recognized subspecies: the nominate subspecies, which is found in central and western sub-Saharan Africa, and the eastern black-tailed subspecies, which is primarily found in western Kenya and other parts of eastern sub-Saharan Africa. Jameson's mamba is primarily arboreal, meaning it spends most of its time in trees. Its diet mainly consists of birds and mammals. The venom of this snake is particularly dangerous as it contains both neurotoxins, which affect the nervous system, and cardiotoxins, which affect the heart. Symptoms of envenomation in humans can escalate quickly, leading to severe pain, swelling, and potentially fatal paralysis if not treated promptly. The venom of the eastern subspecies is noted to be significantly more potent than that of the nominate subspecies, making it especially dangerous. Fatalities have been recorded within just a few hours of being bitten. Jameson's mamba was originally described under the name Elaps jamesoni in 1843 by Thomas Traill, a Scottish doctor and zoologist who also had expertise in medical jurisprudence. The species was named in honor of Robert Jameson, Traill's contemporary and the Regius Professor of Natural History at the University of Edinburgh, where Traill had studied. In 1848, German naturalist Hermann Schlegel established the genus Dendroaspis, designating Jameson's mamba as the type species. The genus name Dendroaspis is derived from the ancient Greek words delta nu delta omicron nu or dendron, meaning tree, and sigma pi or aspis, meaning an arsp or shield. However, in 1856, the French zoologist Auguste Dumeril misspelled the genus as Dendraspis, a mistake that persisted in the literature for some time. The error was eventually corrected in 1936 by Dutch herpetologist Leo Brongersma, who reinstated the original spelling, Dendroaspis. That same year, British biologist Arthur Loveridge described a new subspecies, Dendroaspis jamesoni chymosi, based on a specimen collected from the Chymosi forest in western Kenya. This subspecies was distinguished by having fewer subcaudal scales and a black, rather than green tail. Further analysis of mamba venom components has placed Jameson's mamba as a sister species to the western green mamba, Dendroaspis viridis, highlighting their close evolutionary relationship. This relationship is depicted in cladograms, which visually represent the genetic and evolutionary connections between species. Jameson's mamba is characterized by its long, slender body and smooth scales, with the tail making up about 20 to 25% of its total length. Adult Jameson's mambas typically measure between 1.5 and 2.2 meters or in total length, although some individuals may reach up to 2.64 meters. While the general consensus is that males and females are similar in size, field research in southeastern Nigeria has found that males tend to be significantly larger than females. The snake's coloration is predominantly dull green on the back, which gradually fades to pale green toward the underbelly, with the scales generally edged in black. The neck, throat, and underparts are typically cream or yellowish. Jameson's mamba has a narrow, elongated head with small eyes and round pupils. Like the western green mamba, it can flatten its neck when threatened. The subspecies D, Jamesoni chymosi, found in the eastern part of its range, is distinguished by its black tail, whereas individuals from central and western regions usually have a pale green or yellow tail. The snake's thin fangs are attached to the upper jaw, featuring a furrow that runs down the anterior surface, aiding in the delivery of venom. The number and pattern of scales on a snake's body are critical for identifying and distinguishing between species. In the case of Jameson's mamba, the scale count and arrangement are key identifying features. Jameson's mamba has between 15 and 17 rows of dorsal scales at mid-body. There are differences between the subspecies. Dendroaspis jamisoni, the nominate subspecies, has 210 to 236 ventral scales. Dendroaspis jamisoni kaimosi, the eastern subspecies, has 202 to 227 ventral scales. The nominate subspecies has 94 to 122 divided subcaudal scales. The eastern subspecies has 94 to 113 divided subcaudal scales. The anal scale is divided, which is a characteristic feature of this species. The mouth of Jameson's mamba is lined with 7 to 9 supralabial scales, usually 8 above the mouth and 8 to 10 sublabial scales, usually 9 below the mouth. The fourth supralabial and sublabial scales are positioned over and under the eye, respectively. The eyes of Jameson's mamba are bordered by 3 preocular scales, 3 postocular scales, and 1 subocular scale. These scale patterns are essential for herpetologists and other experts in accurately identifying and differentiating Jameson's mamba from other snake species. Jameson's mamba is primarily found across Central, West, and parts of East Africa. It is relatively common and widespread, particularly across its western range. Fieldwork in Nigeria suggests that the species is sedentary, meaning it tends to stay in one area rather than migrating or moving large distances. The snake is highly adaptable, thriving in a variety of environments, including primary and secondary rainforests, woodlands, forest-savanna mosaics, and deforested areas at elevations of up to 2,200 meters, 7,200 feet. Despite extensive deforestation and human development in some areas, Jameson's mamba persists and is often found near buildings, in town parks, farmlands, and plantations. Jameson's mamba is highly arboreal, more so than its close relatives, the eastern green mamba and the western green mamba, and significantly more so than the black mamba. This arboreal nature allows it to navigate and thrive in various forested environments, even in areas impacted by human activities. Jameson's mamba is known for its agility and speed. Like other mambas, it can flatten its neck, mimicking a cobra when it feels threatened. This display, combined with its body shape and length, allows it to strike from a considerable distance. Despite these defensive capabilities, Jameson's mamba is generally not aggressive and will usually attempt to escape rather than confront a threat. In Nigeria, male Jameson's mambas engage in combat with each other during the dry season, December to February, to gain access to females for breeding. Mating in the Kakamega forest in Kenya has been observed in September. This species is oviparous, meaning the female lays eggs. Clutch sizes typically range from 5 to 16 eggs. In Nigeria, egg laying has been recorded between April and June, while in Uganda, it likely occurs shortly after November. Egg clutches are sometimes found in abandoned termite colonies, providing a safe and warm environment for incubation. Due to its arboreal nature and green coloration, Jameson's mamba has been challenging to study in the wild. While it has not been directly observed hunting, it is believed to employ a sit-and-wait strategy similar to that of the eastern green mamba. Its diet primarily consists of birds and tree-dwelling mammals. Common prey includes cisticolas, woodpeckers, doves, squirrels, shrews, and mice. Smaller individuals under 100 centimeters, 40 inches in length, have been recorded feeding on lizards such as the common agama and toads. While there is no substantial evidence that they have adapted to hunting terrestrial rodents like rats, there have been instances of them consuming rodents in Kenya and accepting them in captivity. The primary predators of Jameson's mamba are birds of prey, including the martial eagle, battleur, and Congo serpent eagle. Other potential predators include the honey badger, other snakes, and various mongoose species. These natural threats, along with the mamba's elusive nature, contribute to its behavior of avoiding conflict whenever possible. Jameson's mamba is classified as a snake of medical importance in sub-Saharan Africa by the World Health Organization, WHO. This classification highlights the significant risk posed by its venom, even though actual records of snake bites from this species are relatively rare. Field observations in the Niger Delta of southern Nigeria over a 16-year period revealed that both humans and Jameson's mambas are most active during the rainy season, from April to August. This period is identified as a peak time for snake bites, particularly in rural areas. There have also been reports of fatalities not only from snake bites, but also from workers falling from trees after encountering Jameson's mambas in the canopies of palm oil plantations. In urban areas, snake bites from Jameson's mamba are rare, but they are more common in forested regions, such as in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Unfortunately, poor infrastructure and limited access to medical facilities in these areas make it difficult for victims to obtain anti-venom, exacerbating the danger of envenomation. The venom of Jameson's mamba, like that of other mambas, is highly neurotoxic. Symptoms of envenomation include localized pain and swelling at the bite site, followed by systemic effects such as generalized swelling, chills, sweating, abdominal pain, vomiting, slurred speech, difficulty breathing, and paralysis. Death can occur within 3 to 4 hours after being bitten, with an unconfirmed report of a child dying within 30 minutes of envenomation. The venom of the eastern subspecies Dendroaspis jamesoni chymosi is notably more potent than that of the nominate subspecies Dendroaspis jamesoni, with an average intravenous murine median lethal dose, LD50, of 0.53 milligrams per kilogram compared to 1.2 milligrams per kilogram for the nominate subspecies. The reason for this increased potency is not entirely clear, as the venom compositions are similar, though the eastern subspecies has higher concentrations of the potent neurotoxin 1. Jameson's mamba's venom predominantly contains 3-finger toxins and dendrotoxins. The 3-finger toxins include alpha-neurotoxins, cardiotoxins, and fasciculins, which target the nervous system. Dendrotoxins, similar to Kunitz-type protease inhibitors, interact with voltage-dependent potassium channels, stimulating acetylcholine release and causing excitatory effects, such as sweating. Interestingly, the venom of mambas, including Jameson's mamba, contains little phospholipase A2, an enzyme common in the venom of many other snake species. While higher proportions of cardiotoxins have been isolated from Jameson's mamba venom compared to other mamba species, their exact role in toxicity remains unclear and is likely not as prominent as the neurotoxic components. Given the dangerous nature of this snake's venom and the potential for rapid fatality, prompt medical attention and access to anti-venom are crucial in cases of envenomation. The rapid onset of symptoms following envenomation by Jameson's mamba necessitates urgent medical attention. Here are the key steps in the treatment process. 1. Apply a pressure bandage to the bite site to slow the spread of venom through the lymphatic system. Minimize the victim's movement to reduce the spread of venom. Keep the affected limb immobilized. Rapidly transport the victim to the nearest hospital or medical clinic for professional treatment. Due to the highly neurotoxic nature of Jameson's mamba venom, an arterial tourniquet may be applied in some cases to slow the venom's effects. However, the use of a tourniquet should be done under medical supervision due to the risks associated with its application. Tetanus toxoid may be administered as a precautionary measure to prevent tetanus infection from the snakebite. The primary treatment for Jameson's mamba envenomation is the administration of the appropriate antivenom. Both trivalent and monovalent antivenoms, which cover the black mamba, eastern green mamba, and Jameson's mamba, have been available since the 1950s and 1960s. The timely administration of antivenom is crucial to neutralize the venom's effects and increase the chances of survival. Given the high toxicity of Jameson's mamba venom and the rapid progression of symptoms, it is essential to initiate these treatments as quickly as possible to prevent severe complications or death.
Loosen any tight clothing. Immediately remove jewelry. After a snake bite, a person can stop breathing if you lay them on their back. Always lay them down on their left side with their face turned down to the side in case they vomit. Never use a tourniquet or tie a tight cloth or rope. Doing this causes blood flow to stop, which could lead to an amputated limb. Never try sucking out the venom. Never wash, touch, or apply medicine to the bite. Never use anything to cut the wound to let the venom flow out. This is dangerous and could cause an infection. Whenever moving a patient, it's best to carefully carry them or use a makeshift stretcher. If transporting by motorbike, someone should sit behind the patient to support them in case they become unconscious. So what can you do in your daily life to prevent or reduce the chance of a bite? Always wear shoes or boots and pants. Watch where you step in fields or in the bush. Use a stick to explore the ground before using your hands. Never put your hands into hollow logs and trees or holes in the ground. Always go into the bush with a friend or family member. You never know when you might need help. Here's what to do at home. Discourage snakes from coming inside by keeping food and water in sealed containers. Snakes enter looking for rats and mice. Keep homes and other buildings rodent-free. Clean food scraps off floors and keep spaces tidy. Minimize holes as best you can to keep snakes and rodents from entering. Keep wood piles a safe distance from the house. Keep wood used for cooking on a raised platform. Keep the area around your house free of stacked items, garbage, and long grass. Create clear pathways that are free of leaf litter. Because some snakes roam at night, it's important to sleep in beds raised off the ground. Bites easily happen when you roll onto a snake while sleeping. Sleeping under a well-tucked-in bed net is the best advice. It will also prevent bites from mosquitoes, scorpions, centipedes, and spiders. Always use a torch when walking outside at night. Even if you know your surroundings, you never know where a snake will be. Always hang up your shoes and boots. Remember, snakes like to have a place to hide. Many lives have been saved by people following this advice. Share these important rules with others. Never use traditional methods. Follow smart first aid. Don't wait to make changes around your home before it's too late. We share the same places to live. Let's make sure we both live long and productive lives.
12. Hemicatus, the rink house.
My very close encounter with the rinkhouse. As I walked along a path, I saw a movement out of the corner of my eye, 2 meters from me. It had been sunning itself on this flat rock. It raised its head and we checked each other out for a while. It then slithered towards me. I beat a hasty retreat when it came straight towards me. Some interesting facts about the rinkhouse. 1. The rinkhouse is diurnal and will bask in the morning before setting off to forage for the day. 2. When approached, they will lift half of their body off the ground and make a broad hood. 3. If the danger does not retreat, they spit venom up to about 2 meters. 4. If this still does not work, they are good at playing dead.
The rink house, Hemicatus, also known as the ringhouse or ring-necked spitting cobra, is a venomous snake native to southern Africa. Despite being commonly referred to as a spitting cobra, it is not a true cobra and belongs to the monotypic genus Hemicatus, setting it apart from the genus Naja, which contains true cobras. Ringhouse are known for their varied color patterns, typically featuring a dark belly with 1 or 2 light-colored crossbands on the throat. Their size ranges from 90 to 110 centimeters in length. While some rinkhouse are predominantly black, others may exhibit stripes. One of the distinctive features of this species is their scales, which are ridged and keel-like, different from those of true cobras. The species range includes the western and eastern Cape provinces of South Africa, extending northeast through the Free State, Lesotho, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Eswatini, Mpumalanga, and parts of Gauteng in South Africa. There's also an isolated population near Inyanga on the Zimbabwe-Mozambique border, though there have been no recent records of this population, raising concerns that it might be extinct. In 2023, the population in Zimbabwe was classified as a new species, Hemacatus nyangensis. The rinkhouse, Hemacatus, has a diverse diet, primarily preying on toads but also consuming small mammals, amphibians, and other reptiles. One key difference between the rinkhouse and true African cobras is that the rinkhouse is ovoviviparous, meaning it gives birth to live young rather than laying eggs. A typical litter consists of 20 to 35 young, but some have been recorded to have as many as 65 offspring. The venom of the rinkhouse is both neurotoxic and partially cytotoxic, and is notably less viscous than the venom of other African elapids. When threatened, the rinkhouse typically aims its venom at the face of its aggressor, which can cause severe pain, necrosis if injected, and significant discomfort if it enters the eyes. Local symptoms like swelling and bruising occur in about 25% of cases, and systemic symptoms can include drowsiness, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, cramps, vertigo, and mild fever. Although a polyvalent antivenom is available in South Africa, further research and development of antivenom are ongoing in other regions, such as Costa Rica. When distressed, the rinkhouse spreads its hood, displaying its distinctive striped neck, and can spray venom up to 2.5 meters. Unlike true spitting cobras, the rinkhouse often has poor aim, typically rearing up and flinging its body forward to increase its accuracy. Interestingly, it can also convincingly fake death, a behavior known as thanatosis, by rolling onto its back with its mouth open. The rinkhouse prefers grassland habitats, where its coloration helps it blend in with the environment. It can also be found in swamps throughout southern Africa.
If you see a snake, move away slowly. Don't pick it up. Please leave all snakes alone. Many times, snakes and people come into contact and an avoidable accident happens. 5 million people are bitten by me each year. Watch this film. Learn to prevent bites or take action if one happens.
13. The green mamba, referring to two main species of highly venomous snakes found in sub-Saharan Africa, the eastern green mamba, Dendroaspis angusticeps, and the western green mamba, Dendroaspis viridis. These snakes are known for their striking bright green color, which serves as effective camouflage in their natural habitats, typically dense forests and woodlands. Dendroaspis angusticeps, eastern green mamba, is native to the coastal regions of southern Africa, ranging from South Africa through Mozambique, Tanzania, and up to southern Kenya. This species is arboreal, meaning it spends much of its time in trees, which makes its vivid green coloration particularly effective for blending into the foliage. The eastern green mamba is slender and can grow up to 2.5 meters in length, though most adults are between 1.8 and 2.2 meters long. This species is generally shy and reclusive, preferring to avoid human contact. However, when threatened, it can strike with remarkable speed. The venom of the eastern green mamba is highly potent, consisting predominantly of 3-finger toxins, a common feature in mamba venoms. These toxins are neurotoxic, affecting the nervous system by blocking nerve signals, leading to symptoms such as dizziness, difficulty breathing, paralysis, and, if untreated, death. Unlike the venom of many other snake species, mamba venom has little phospholipase A2, an enzyme that typically breaks down cell membranes. This specific composition of toxins in the eastern green mamba's venom is thought to be adapted to its diet, which primarily consists of birds. Dendroaspis viridis, western green mamba, Inhabits the tropical rainforests and forest edges of West Africa, from Gambia through Guinea, Sierra Leone, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, and as far east as Togo. Like the eastern green mamba, it is arboreal and shares a similar bright green coloration, though it is slightly smaller, with an average length of 1.4 to 2.1 meters. The western green mamba is also shy and avoids encounters with humans whenever possible. Its venom is similarly potent and primarily neurotoxic, causing severe effects on the nervous system. The venom of the western green mamba is thought to have a synergistic effect in nature, meaning that the combined action of its various toxic components is more effective than the sum of their individual effects. This makes the venom particularly dangerous, with the potential to cause rapid paralysis and respiratory failure in victims. The toxicity of green mamba venom is a critical concern, as it can lead to fatal outcomes if not treated promptly. The neurotoxins in the venom work by binding to and blocking the acetylcholine receptors at neuromuscular junctions, preventing the transmission of nerve signals to muscles. This results in muscle paralysis, including the muscles responsible for breathing. Symptoms of envenomation typically include localized pain, swelling, dizziness, sweating, drooping eyelids, difficulty breathing, and eventually paralysis. Immediate medical treatment is essential following a green mamba bite. Standard first aid includes applying a pressure bandage to slow the spread of venom, minimizing the victim's movement, and quickly transporting them to a medical facility. Given the neurotoxic nature of the venom, the application of an arterial tourniquet may also be beneficial in slowing the progression of symptoms. Once at a medical facility, the primary treatment is the administration of the appropriate antivenom. For the eastern green mamba, a polyvalent antivenom produced by the South African Institute for Medical Research is commonly used. In some cases, tetanus toxoid may also be administered as part of the treatment protocol. Green mambas, while highly dangerous due to their potent venom, are not aggressive by nature and typically strike only when provoked or threatened. Their venom's specialized composition and effectiveness are a testament to their adaptation to specific ecological niches, primarily involving the predation of birds. Understanding and respecting these snakes, while ensuring access to proper medical care in regions where they are found, is crucial to minimizing the risk they pose to humans.
Now, what would you do if your pet turned against you and harmed you? For this next man from Kwale, his pet snake sent him to the emergency room, left him fighting for his life for 3 days, and yet he continues to vow that he will keep on with his snake-keeping mission.
Today, the Jungle Village Center is dead quiet, and Hamisi is staying away from his snakes. One of his trusted friends, a green mamba, left him fighting for his life in hospital for the last 3 days.
It's such a beautiful snake, isn't it?
Right.
But this one can kill you quite quickly.
Yeah, a little bit of his venom can kill you within an hour.
Right.
Hamisi, known to the villagers here as Manyoka, was bitten on his right hand by the deadly snake and suffered a massive venom poisoning since Christmas Day. A visibly weak Hamisi knows all too well that he's lucky to be alive. Having lived with and cared for the green mamba for the last 8 years, Hamisi says he never expected the snake to turn on him. So does this incident change his love for the slithering reptiles? For many people, this would have been a once bitten, twice shy kind of incident. But for Hamisi, being bitten by his own snake just validated his enthusiasm for reptiles.
When a bite happens, move away slowly to a safe place. To avoid another bite, never follow, try to catch, or kill the snake. Stay calm, don't panic, never run. Panic and movement increase your heartbeat and circulate the venom faster. Your entire body should be kept still. Here are the most important rules to remember. Get to a hospital immediately. Call for an ambulance or arrange for a car or a motorbike. Antivenom is the only medicine that can save your life. Proper medical care is essential. Don't waste time with traditional remedies, herbal treatments, or harmful first aid.
14. Naja pallida, red spitting cobra. is a medium-sized cobra that typically attains lengths between 0.7 and 1.2 meters or 2.3 and 3.9 feet, but may grow to a maximum length of around 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet in very rare cases. It is often thought of as an attractive species. It is usually bright salmon red contrasted with a broad black throat band and subocular teardrop markings. However, the color of this species does have variation, which usually depends on where in Africa a particular specimen is found. For example, specimens from southern Kenya and northern Tanzania have an orange-red color with a broad, dark blue or black throat band. Some specimens may have 2 or 3 throat bands, but this is uncommon for specimens from East Africa. The ventral side is also reddish in color. Sometimes the throat area may be a creamy white. Specimens from other areas can be yellow, pinkish, pink-gray, pale red, or steel gray. Most specimens will have a throat band, but it will fade or even sometimes disappear in larger adults. The true red specimens will become reddish-brown in color as they age and grow in size. The body of this snake is slightly depressed, tapered, and moderately slender with a medium-length tail. It is slightly compressed dorsoventrally and subcylindrical posteriorly. The head is broad, flattened, and slightly distinct from the neck. The canthus is distinct and the snout is rounded. The eyes are medium to large in size with round pupils. Dorsal scales are smooth and strongly oblique. Dorsal scales on the midbody are in 21 to 27, ventrals are in 197 to 228, and subcaudals are in 61 to 72 rows. Subscales are paired, and the anal scale is single. There are 7 upper labials. 1 upper labial enters the eye, 2 preoculars, 3 postoculars, and the lower labials are usually 8 in number. Range is 7 to 9. The red-spitting cobra is mainly found in East Africa, including Djibouti, Eritrea, Somalia, southern Egypt, northern and eastern Ethiopia, northern Tanzania, and northern Sudan. It is also widespread in the dry country of eastern, southern, and northern Kenya. It primarily inhabits dry savanna and semi-desert areas of East Africa up to an elevation of about 1,200 meters or 3,900 feet above sea level. They can usually be found near water holes. Red-spitting cobras are terrestrial, fast, and alert snakes. Adult specimens of this species are nocturnal, while juveniles are more active during the day. Adults like to hide in termite mounds, old logs, holes, brush piles, or any other ground cover during the day. They are also known to be cannibalistic. This could be the reason juveniles and smaller specimens are diurnal, while adults are nocturnal. When threatened, this cobra rears up and displays a typical cobra hood. It may also hiss loudly. If the intruder does not retreat, it may spray jets of venom to the face of the intruder. In very rare cases, it can even spray its venom without rearing up and displaying its hood. Venom in the eyes can cause burning pain and blindness. Even so, this snake seldom causes fatalities in humans. Juvenile red-spitting cobras spit more venom relative to their body size than adult cobras do. This species has a wide range of prey, but they prefer amphibians such as toads and frogs, if and when they are available. However, they will prey on rodents, birds, and probably other snakes. They are known to raid chickens in the region. The red-spitting cobra is oviparous. The female will lay 6 to 21 eggs. The venom of this species, like most spitting cobras, contains a mixture of neurotoxins and cytotoxins. Bite symptoms include slight pain around the wound and numbness of the lips, fingers, and tongue. Although it rarely causes human fatalities, survivors are usually disfigured.
She was bitten on her head by a red-spitting cobra just outside her home.
It was around 9 at night. Carol ran to the door to meet her grandmother. Then she ran straight back in and started vomiting. We didn't realize she had been bitten by a snake. In the morning, Carol's whole face was swollen. That's when we rushed her to hospital.
Sometimes it's quite emotionally draining, like for the small children. We've had to do amputations of the lower limbs, sometimes the upper limb, because of the venom.
The murine IPLD50 value for this snake is 2 milligrams per kilogram. In September 2011, a snake keeper from the Eastern Cape in South Africa, died shortly after a red-spitting cobra sprayed venom into his face while he and a friend were photographing the snake. Some of the venom was believed to have entered his nasal passages and led to anaphylactic shock. His asthma is believed to have contributed to the fatal reaction. An autopsy done on him by the Eastern Cape provincial pathologist revealed no biting or damage either in his nasal cavities, throat, or lungs.
It's 8 o'clock at night, and Kenya's new snakebite research team receive a panicked call.
Are people safe or terrified? Do they want to kill the snake or...?
A cobra has been spotted up a tree in a nearby village. The cobra has been spitting venom for more than an hour. The cobra is captured.
Brilliant.
This was an enormous red-spitting cobra, and I think this community will be very pleased that it is no longer in their backyard.
15. Naja annulata, the banded water cobra. Previously known as Boulangerina annulata, is a venomous snake native to Central and Western Africa, found in countries such as Burundi, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Rwanda, and the province of Cabinda in Angola. It is also present along the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Burundi, Tanzania, and Zambia. This large, heavy-bodied snake typically measures between 1.4 to 2.2 meters or 4.6 to 7.2 feet, but can grow up to 2.8 meters or 9.2 feet. It has a short, broad, and flat head distinct from its neck, with medium-sized dark eyes and round pupils. Its cylindrical body is covered in smooth, glossy scales arranged in 21 to 23 rows at mid-body, displaying a coloration of glossy brown, grayish-brown, or reddish-brown with black bands, a pale yellow belly, and a completely black tail. Capable of spreading a narrow but prominent hood, this snake is well adapted to its aquatic lifestyle. Primarily an aquatic species, the banded water cobra thrives in forested and well-wooded savanna terrain, commonly along lowland forested, bushy, or wooded banks of lakes, rivers, and streams. It is an excellent swimmer, able to remain underwater for up to 10 minutes and dive to depths of 25 meters or 82 feet. On land, it moves slowly and tends to hide among rocks, in holes, or overhanging tree roots at the shoreline, as well as in man-made structures like bridges and jetties. It is generally active both day and night, though it tends to be more active during the day. This species is seldom encountered by humans due to its secretive nature and non-aggressive behavior. When approached in water, it swiftly swims away, and on land, it attempts to escape into the water. If threatened, it will rear up, spread its hood, and hiss loudly but tends not to make forward movements, biting only when provoked. Its diet consists almost exclusively of fish, though it may also consume frogs, toads, and other amphibians. The venom of the banded water cobra is dangerously neurotoxic, similar to that of other elapids, with an IP, or intraperitoneal LD50 reported at 0.143 milligrams per kilogram. Venoms from Naja annulata and Naja christii average 89% protein, lack proteolytic activity, and contain potent postsynaptic neurotoxins. Polyvalent antivenom produced by the South African Institute of Medical Research neutralizes 575 LD50 of Na annulata venom and 200 LD50 of N christii venom per milliliter of antivenom. The venom contains both short-chain and long-chain neurotoxins, with short-chain neurotoxins exhibiting LD50 values of 0.052 milligrams per kilogram for Na annulata and 0.083 milligrams per kilogram for N christii, and long-chain neurotoxins showing LD50 values of 0.086 milligrams per kilogram and 0.090 milligrams per kilogram, respectively. In an anecdote from The Last Ivory Hunter, The Saga of Wally Johnson, by Peter Hathaway Capstick, a dramatic encounter is recounted where a white man, while catching snakes, informs Werner and Wally that they are sitting on a sack containing a banded water cobra, and I quote, "A white man appeared at dawn, and Werner and Wally asked him what in hell he was doing there. Catching snakes. My business. And you, sir, are sitting on one of them. They're very delicate, you know. Kindly get off that sack." Von Alvenselben did a maneuver that would have won him a gold medal in any Olympic competition, the Baron bailing off the hood like a demented dervish. There, in the sack on which he had been sitting and sleeping, was a banded water cobra, Boulangeria annulata. Why it had not bitten him through the rough cloth is anybody's guess. Maybe just luck. There is no known antivenom. End of quote. The quick reaction to move away from the snake highlights the ever-present danger of such wildlife encounters, particularly given the snake's potent neurotoxic venom and the absence of a specific antivenom. This story underscores the importance of caution and awareness in the African wilderness, where even a moment of luck can prevent a potentially fatal bite.
Remember, antivenom is the only solution for a snake bite. There are hundreds of types of snakes, but only a small number of us are venomous. Don't take a chance. Always go straight to a hospital, even if you're not sure what kind of snake bit you. Know the location of your nearest health centers. Plan how you will get there with your friends and family.